and welcome back to Drum Key. This is the podcast where we talk about everything drums, drummers, and drum industry. My name's Adam Steck. That's Shawn Groff. We're recording live to tape in Drums, Etc.
in beautiful Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
You stuttered. You almost, did you forget where we were?
No, I was going to say downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania. But we are not located in downtown Lancaster.
No longer downtown.
Yeah.
Just outside of town.
Just
Close
outside.
enough to town that if you're in town, you should come out of town to check out Drums, Etc.
It's like a 5-minute drive.
It is. It is. Like 5 minutes. Today we have a very, very special guest. Mr. Brian Doherty is here. There he is.
Thank you
There
for
he
having
is.
me on the show today, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're
Hey,
welcome.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely.
And the restraint to not clap for yourself there.
Dude, I did. You know, a little bit.
It's okay. You got to
It's like-
liven it up.
it's like when
give
like a
yourself
kid-
a round of applause.
It's like
You
a
have
kid
to
does something, you're like, yay.
Yep,
pat
exactly.
it back.
Exactly.
so talented.
But yeah, Brian, drummer. Here, this is your bio. You didn't send me a bio.
Oh,
I made this one up.
Just took it right off my
I think most
Instagram.
of this is factual. I got my information from MySpace. So I think it's up to date.
Yeah, I think you're on my top 10.
Okay, cool. Drummer for Northern Gloom and Versus Machine, percussionist, educator, and co-owner of the Upside DIY venue in Lancaster.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
yeah.
you're doing a lot.
I am so busy all the time with music and musical activities. It's awesome. It really is awesome.
Dude, it's a dream. That's what, when people ask me about working here and just being in the industry in any facet is great. It's just better than the normal jobs out in the
Totally.
world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if there is some grind to it, or
It's a lot of grind, dude. It's like 24/7. You know,
Yeah.
it's go. Any second you take off is this opportunity you're not taking for yourself.
Yep, absolutely. But we're all here for a reason. We're all still in it, right,
Yeah.
Shawn?
Absolutely right.
Dude, this is a veteran right here, man.
I know. Talk about being in the grind for a long time.
I've been in the
man.
grind for so long, I don't know which way is up and which way is down anymore.
Dude, I interned when I was in college at Drums, Etc. And Shawn was one of the guys who trained me. And that was before your time when you came in, man.
Before I was born.
I
No, not
was,
before I was
and I was thinking about that stuff earlier today. I was thinking about the first time I met you, and I was thinking about when you were interning, and we were just getting involved in doing eBay.
Oh yeah,
Like big time.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like we had done eBay before, but we were doing eBay on a smaller scale. We didn't have a proper eBay store. We were just doing used items and doing pretty successful at it. But we decided, hey, let's do like everyone else has, new items listed. They're selling drum heads. They're doing all this kinds of stuff.
Because originally you think eBay, that's just like people selling stuff out of
Right.
their garages.
Yeah.
Like that's
And
what we all knew.
and that's
eBay
what we
as.
did. That's exactly what we were
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
But we also noticed that hey, there are other things to be had here. And then Brian came in, and we kind of learned that stuff together. And we were going through the books. Remember the
Oh, dude, I
MIT
remember
book?
I was like every Friday and Saturday I'd come in at Saturday like 2 hours before the store would open. And I'd be like get through like 10 pages of all of these.
Right.
Like the what is it, Con Selmer
But
catalog.
Here's the problem we ran into right away is that on eBay you're expected to have that stuff, man.
Yeah.
So Rick was like, "Hey, let's just list this freaking catalog," and I'm like, "That's awesome. Let's do it." and then we were selling things we don't have.
Right.
And all of a sudden, we don't have it to sell, and then maybe Con Summer doesn't have it, or somebody doesn't. Now we're in trouble. So I'm like, hey, look, let's not do that anymore. Let's list the things that we have, and if we want to sell it, we need to have it. And we totally flipped the script on it and went that way, and it's been awesome.
Yeah,
ever
is that
since.
what you guys are doing right now?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You have to. Now, everyone, I mean, some people even listening are probably like, wait, you would have things listed that you don't have? Like, that was normal. It was not expected that everything is like, okay, where's my tracking number? Like 2 seconds after you place your order. That was not the world we used to live in. And it is now.
Well, we had a mail order catalog, and I don't know if you received that in the mail, but
No,
we had
no.
a mail order catalog, and everyone knew that, okay, you're going to order a component drum, you're going to order this special order item, and we tell them, okay, we have to order this in. Sometimes we have it, sometimes not. Everyone was totally cool with it, but I think times have changed, and you need to have it, and you need to be ready to go.
Nowadays, for sure.
But that was
intense.
my first. I remember us working together and doing that. And
It was, dude. I had so much fun doing. I learned so much about just drums and just the industry in general. Just
the industry.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's a whole whole side of like the music industry you don't see, you know.
Yeah, what's happening behind the scenes and how is that actually being done is a cool insight. I mean, I got addicted to it a little bit when I first started the shop.
Yeah.
Like being able to see the inner workings, being like, okay, so we source this from here, and these are actually made here, and here's their stock. Wow, that's how many they have in stock, and here's our cost versus what we have to sell it for, right? And you're always shocked by that because small business, especially in the music industry, is like wild. Like profit margins are so small. That's why you don't see ridiculous sales. That it's shocking at first, but it's also like kind of fun to peek behind the curtain and be like, how is this really going on?
Yeah.
And I'm still here because I got hooked on it. There's something about that I've always been super intrigued by.
I think I like just like you can see like how companies every year are like rolling out the next model for everything, and you get to see like, okay, like this is what like music is gonna sound like for the next like year or something, like just like types of cymbals. Like when I was at Drums Etc. like 2000, I think it was 2012 or 13, right?
Okay.
Like what was a popular cymbal model then? Like what do you think was?
Probably
like I think like K Constantinople, medium, thin, low. That was like one of like the sounds.
I was going to say
heard
K's or K Customs. We never really got too much into the Constantinople stuff, just because
just like that washy kind of sound.
Expensive. Yeah. So I love the Constantinople stuff, but we
now
never really stocked it. But K Customs. Things were going kind of dark, and that kind of stuff. Byzance was kind of,
dark and dry was definitely like the thing. But now everything's like bright and washy, and it's like
10 years prior to that,
so
it was
funny.
all A Customs.
Yeah, dude,
A Customs. I can remember the Vinnie Colaiuta ad. The new A Customs are out. They're bright and shiny.
I have a custom ride on my studio set, and my students are always like, I don't like the sound of this ride. And I was like, in 2001, you would have loved this.
Exactly.
This was the sound.
And
you want to sound
cycles.
like Travis Barker?
It's all cycles, man. I was just looking back. It was like 2017? I think it was 2017 NAMM when K Special Dries came out. And that's still in my mind like a newer, but like no, it's not. That
was last year, dude.
I know, right? I feel like that just happened. That was 2017.
Do you think the Ping ride will ever come back though?
Yes. Oh, it's gonna
definitive
happen.
answer.
It's gonna happen.
It has to, dude.
I've been hoarding. I have 47 Ping rides. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, just like
I'm gonna be rich one day.
Sitting on a doomsday Ping ride house right here.
My first pro cymbal was an A Custom 20-inch ride. My first pro cymbal.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, first cast
it sounds great.
Yeah.
Like I mean, especially for like the music of that era, like it sounds like that is the sound.
Right.
You know?
And there's something super impressive, at least when I first got into drums, about the brilliant look. Now all my cymbals are like, I love old, ugly,
patina,
green, gnarly.
You pull it out of the mud.
I know.
Yeah, but when I first started when I went into the drum shop, when I went into Drums Etc., and I saw a whole stack of brilliant A Customs, that was like, whoa, like that.
With a bunch of lights shining on it too.
Always good lights.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, we have a great podcast, guys. We have some segments we can get to if you want, or we can just keep chilling.
The history of the story,
It's all good.
This is what I knew it would be, and I'm like so anxious to get upstairs.
Yeah.
We're downstairs talking. We blew half the podcast already just by talking. I'm like, we need to bring this upstairs and talk. What are we doing?
Now. Yeah.
I know. We need someone to be to tap our phones constantly. We need to be constantly monitored.
Speaking of which, what are these cats doing? Do they know we're having a podcast up here?
The studio audience.
Studio audience.
Some of our employees will become our studio audience at some point here. You guys probably won't hear them if they chime in, but we'll translate. But let's pop into one of our segments. Let's pop into Crank It Up, Turn It Down.
That's not goody.
All right, Crank It Up, Turn It Down. In this segment, it should have been. In this segment, we talk about some controversial drum habits. I say controversial just to pit these two together or against each other because they're sitting so close on this tiny couch, and we need some tension. We need some tension between our guest and Shawn. It's always fun to watch from afar.
I do like WWE too.
But we'll see. There's actually going to be a ladder match in this very studio later on today.
It's just a work.
It's just that's all this is. It's all built up. It's just an angle. Crank it up, turn it down. I'm going to name some things. If you dig it, Brian, crank it up. If you really dig it, crank it up to 11. That's like, this is my favorite thing in drumming. If you don't dig it, it's not your style, turn it down.
All right.
And if you really don't dig it, you can crank it down.
Shawn made
Crank
that
it
one
down.
up.
I made
Okay,
it
so
up.
we got crank it up to 11, turn it down to 11. Crank it down. Sorry.
Got a good memory.
Yeah. Crank it
I'm
down to
definitely gonna
negative
forget.
one.
Oh, it's like when you meet somebody, you're like, "Hi, my name's Frank. What's up, Bill?"
Exactly. Immediately gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. First one. Crank it up. Sean's a little fiery today. Crank it up. Turn it down. Band logo drum heads. I'm going to say that again. Crank it up, turn it down, band logo drum heads. Having a dedicated drum head, reso head on your bass drum with your band name on it.
I'll crank it up. I'll crank it up.
Why? Why are you cranking it up?
You know, I think like everything that you do is marketing when you're playing in a band, and it's just an opportunity for people to remember who your band is. But it's also like it is a prideful thing to put your band's information out there for people to see. I can see something like it's like getting a monogram shirt, you know, where it's just like, are you trying to remind yourself that like your name is, you know, Brian or something? But I think that I'm not going to be like, yo, crank it to 11. I won't play a bass drum without my monogram on or my bass drum logo on it. But yeah, I think it's a brave thing to do.
I have a follow-up for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you do this with either of your bands you're playing with?
No, but we certainly talked about it.
Okay.
And if somebody bought me the bass drum head, I'd be okay with doing it.
Hey, I'll mention this. This is a good time to mention this, actually. We have a hookup that can get that done. So come see Drums Etc. Give us a call. Before we send your bass drum head out, we can make that happen.
It's not me.
It's not Brian. He clearly doesn't know anything about it.
No.
Or else he'd have one right now.
Yeah.
Another follow-up to the follow-up.
Okay.
Here we go. Do you think it's problematic if you're sharing a kit?
Oh man, that's
Because that happens so often.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're like the headlining band or you're the band that put everything together, then like, yeah, sure, I think that's fine. But like, then also at the same time, like, where are you playing this kit? Like, are you playing this monogram kit at my? I keep saying monogram.
I've never heard that term before.
Dude,
but I'm like shaking my head. Yeah, monogram.
Yeah, dude,
I've never heard
monogram.
that
That's
before
the
in my
one,
life.
dude.
I just picture a bass drum head that looks like you got like the threading of your first name. It just says
that would
Brian
look, dude, that would look
on a
sick.
bass drum head.
See, that would look sick because that's unique.
Yeah.
But like, if you're playing at my studio, like, and somebody's like, "Yo, we're gonna backline my kit," I don't care, and I don't think anybody else would care because it's just like you're not. It's not like that's the defining factor of the show. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, but like maybe if you're playing at Tellus in the backstage and you're opening up for, you know, I don't know who, the Melvins, right? They're not going to want to play that bass drum. You know what I mean? Well, they're not going to be backlining the kit anyways,
Right,
but like
still.
right. Yeah. Like there's
That's a little too iconic. But for like a local show, I mean, I played this summer at Love Draft Brewery and
the one in Mechanicsburg.
the one in Mechanicsburg, right?
That place looks great. They did such a good job.
That place is great.
Shout out
Great
Love Draft.
sound.
It used to be a Quaker Steak
It
and
is
Lube.
freaking awesome. It was great.
Yeah, and before that, I think it was like a Golden Corral or something.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, I used to
That
live like right
building's
there,
been
dude.
through a lot.
Yeah, dude.
That place
Wow.
is great.
There used to be a Dunham Sports up there, dude. I used to get all my gear. But anyway, so you're saying you're playing at Love Drafts.
But it wasn't. The main band had their tapestry behind us, so there's pictures of me playing, and it says the name of the band. That's the headline.
For me. That's weird.
Okay.
That's weird. But if it's like a bass drum head, I don't care.
But I've done. First of all, I'm gonna crank it up with the bass drum logo head.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, with the band
Great minds
logo.
think alike.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that, and I have to crank it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will continue the trend. I'm going to crank it up as well. I'm going to crank it up. I like what you're going with marketing. Like in my mind, it's all like I view things through a branding, marketing world now.
And actually,
I think that's really cool. I will say that if I was backlining a kit and that was my normal thing to do, I'd probably put something more generic on it.
Yeah.
Like depending on the gig. But if it's the bigger the stage, the more I think it would be warranted. This actually reminds me of a story. I totally forgot about this. This was my first band I was ever in high school. We went a while without a name, but then our name was Jumping the English Channel, which is a reference to a Monty Python sketch where the guy literally says he's going to jump the English Channel and get this whole crowd together and just jumps in the water and splashes and doesn't make it, but it's all this buildup. And it's a hilarious sketch.
Yeah.
But our band was called Jumping the English Channel. And what I did this is a unique thing because it's not actually the bass drum head itself. What I did is I ended up, I forget if I bought or found, somehow I ended up with a stop sign, right? Like a stop sign, an actual stop sign, and it had holes on the outer edges of it. Either that or I drilled them, and I painted over stop and changed it to jump, but it still looked like a stop sign, and so it said jump. Jumping English Channel.
Yeah.
And I took little bungee cords and I bungeed it to the front of the bass drum using those tension rods.
Dude,
and
that must have been so boomy.
It was
like that extra
metal, like
sheet of metal right there.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, it probably ruined the sound. But I totally forgot about that until right now because I remember the first time I did it, I showed up to the gig and I was sharing someone else's kit, but I was like, bam, and I instantly like made it it looked like our thing.
Yeah.
And then I took it off.
No, that's really smart.
That's a good idea.
That's really smart, dude. Like,
dude, I totally forgot about that. Wow.
Do you own a business?
But hey,
we sell stop signs.
I wanted to say about the logo on the bass drum.
Yeah.
When at Drums Etc. on New Holland Avenue, we would rent drum sets for bands. It was my idea. I said we need to put the Drums Etc. logo on the freaking.
Did you?
Drum.
I never actually saw the drums.
Yep.
I would always like pack them up for people to take, but I never saw the drums.
Yep. We actually had it made.
Yeah, that was cool. And that was a throwback logo too. What's that guy's name? I can't think of it right now.
Gary Volpe?
No, not Gary. I know Gary designed it, but the name of the man, it's something man.
Oh.
He looks like he's made of tubes.
Oh.
Tube man.
I forget.
It's not like I must have Cyberman.
I'll think of him. Ooh. I always forget what he's called.
That's probably not used anywhere out there.
Edit.
I forget what he's called. Shoot. Anyway, this isn't exciting.
It'll come back in like a random part.
Crank it up. Cranking it up. All right, we are agreeing way too much. Here we go. This is going to stir some controversy. Maybe. Maybe not. Crank it up. Turn it down.
Turn it down right now.
Dude, crank it down.
No, you agreed. That's the opposite of what I'm trying to do. Crank it up. Turn it down. Riding on drum hoops.
Okay, hold on a sec. At the same time, we'll give our answer. Okay? So it's either crank it up or turn it down. Riding on drum hoops. 1, 2, 3. Crank it up.
Ugh. Boom. this hive mind.
Dude, he
here.
threw up when he said it. He was like, ugh.
All right, let's get some explanation now.
Get a room.
Get some explanation, and then a follow up to
You seemed really passionate about it. Like, what's your take?
Yeah, what's your take? And which hoop are you riding on? Are you hitting your bass drum? Are you hitting the floor tom, rack tom?
It's usually the floor tom, sometimes the rack, wherever I feel comfortable. But your whole drum set is an instrument, so you should be able to play anything that you need to or want to on it. And the hoop is an extension of that. So yeah, use that, man.
I definitely agree with it. Like it adds such like a unique sound because you hear so much more of the body of the drum, and like you said, like you're getting so much sound from or a different sound from the drum, and you could choose if it's like the rack tom if you want something a little bit brighter or the floor tom. I mean, I'm not like one of the people who's going to be like hitting the side of my shells or I mean, not that if I needed to and somebody was paying me a lot of money, I would totally do it, but like or like the bass drum. Sure. But yeah, no, I think and it's you hear it a lot. Like I feel like I hear it a lot in music.
Yeah, it's a cool texture. I'm cranking it up too. I find myself playing on my snare a lot more. I just record.
I think it's easier to play. I mean, it's like easier to keep it kind of like on the snare.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I've even combined that with a rim click at the same time.
Yeah,
and they're actually two very different tones. And then you build up, to add some snare buzz in there. And
if there's
nice.
There's a really good song by Steps Ahead. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're like a jazz fusion group from the 80s. But Peter Erskine was the drummer.
Okay.
And he does this pattern. It's like it's like offset groups of 3/8 notes, and he kind of does that. He kind of plays on the rim and then does a rim knock, and he kind of flams them a little bit, and it has this great texture.
And you're like, what's he doing?
Yeah, dude. And the other thing I think is really cool too is that like drums, like there's so many different sounds you can get out of a drum, but like you hit the shell or the rim with like the beat of your stick, and then you move it down to like the shoulder or like the shaft of the stick, you get a completely different tone.
Big time.
Right? So it's like you want it brighter, you want it a little bit darker, you want it fatter. Like I think that's just such a cool thing, man.
Yeah, for sure. And what you're saying about where you hit it makes a big difference. That is also something that you kind of learn with the diameter of the drum and your technique. You really learn how to use that and all use the different sounds in music rather than being like, wow, this is really inconsistent, or like I have to hit it just there. Like people view that as a problem.
Yeah.
And there are things like those Groove X clicks, which are nice because it's real consistent sound. But I find myself sometimes, if I want more of that woody sound, even not going butt end out, to get a little bit of a less aggressive backbeat sort of rim click.
I hear what you're saying.
I like how you said rim knock.
Rim knock. That's how I was. I think that's what
is it.
I think that's what I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard that term.
Well,
I like it though.
when I know this as a rim knock. So like you're going across the drum, and then like a rim, just like a click or like a tap would like be on the side. Yeah.
Okay.
The one's got the circle and the X, and the other one's just an X.
Yeah. There you go. Rim click, rim knock.
Yeah,
hey,
dude.
Defining terms.
Yeah.
We'll just put the
every book is different.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Just make it up, dude. Just make it sound good.
It's like it's not hitting the snare drum with the stick on the head. So let's just come up with a new term.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I might turn it to 11. Yeah.
Wow.
You mean crank it to 11?
Crank it to 11.
That's never happened.
Yeah.
Maybe it has. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But I'm going to say it's never happened.
All right. We're in way too much agreement. I know we're all going to agree on this next one. Quick round, speed round. Here we go. Crank it up, turn it down. I'm more interested in the why behind the crank it up, which is inevitable, I think, here. Warming up before you play a show.
Oh, can I be neutral?
Yes.
I'm neutral on that, dude.
What? Yeah. You're not going to crank it up or turn it down. You're going to leave it as it is.
Yeah, because I think it's for everybody. I mean, like, moving your hands, I think, is definitely important before you play. But I saw this really good master class when I was in college with a marimba player. His name is Gordon Stout, and he said he never warms up. And this guy is a freak of, like, you just watch him play. Mm-hmm. He doesn't miss a note, and his eyes are just on the music. And we were like asking why he doesn't warm up. He was like, well, like, what if I get off a plane and I have to go right to the stage and I've got to play and I don't have time to warm up? Like, I'm using my warm up as like a crutch to get my brain rolling for music. Like, I want to be able to walk on there cold and be able to do it. Now, that being said, that's just him. That's his experience.
Wow,
right?
That's crazy.
It made me think a little bit different about warming up because everybody's like, take your pad, go play for 15 minutes. But if you're in a, like, you're playing like a house show or something, where are you going to go play with a pad? You know what I mean? You're just going to walk up there cold anyway. So like, I've been working on doing like a warm up of sorts where I'm just like kind of just moving my muscles in like different ways, kind of just like
warming your hands up
just
without playing,
trying to be limber. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need rhythm or I don't know. I think that's definitely a touchy subject for a lot of people.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Though.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
And it depends on what you're playing and what you're about to do.
Yeah. Now, if I've got the time and I got like a green room or something like that, hell yeah, I'm warming up. Like, I've got the space to do that, But like, I think it's also safe to be like, I need to be able to go up and I need to go rip a 30-minute set as hard as I can and just.
Yeah. What does your warm up look like? Do you have anything specific that you always do, or you try to get your hands loose? If I'm playing on a pad, or something, you have the optimal warm up.
Yeah, I feel like I always come back to flam taps. I think flam taps are such a good rudiment to work on because it is every motion that a stick could possibly do. It's a full stroke, it's a downstroke, it's an upstroke, and it's a tap stroke, right? Mm-hmm. You've got all of those different movements within that. And you can really just concentrate on just being like, okay, how do my hands feel? And then, flams, you have to play a little bit differently. There's a little bit more engagement with your whole arm kind of thing. That throw, you want to throw the stick a little bit more. So you're using your whole arm to warm it up. So if you guys know like the Will Coxon book,
okay,
like the first pattern, it is or in solo number 1, it goes flam tap, flamadiddle, flamadiddle. That's my warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just telling Shawn the other day I play flamadiddles. That's like one of the few rudiments. Like if I pick up like the sticks down on the counter or something, it just when I first learned that, it just felt like I was actually like loosening up a little bit. So that's a go-to for me. There's something about starting with a flam. I throw flams in everything I play. I'm just I'm a little flam happy.
Yeah,
I'm a little flam happy.
Yeah, dude.
But it's a lot of flum.
Little flambunctious.
Ooh.
But turn it up. Crank it up. Yeah, no, yeah.
cool.
And, but also I think sometimes it's also like, what are you working on? You know, like it could be like, I'm working on this song or like this pattern, and I'm just going to put a metronome on, I'm going to hear this click, and I'm just going to play like the skeleton rhythm of this pattern, and I just want to hear it, you know, and just try to lock in with time and try to feel how, like if it's a syncopated thing, how it's feeling against like the quarter note, or if it's an odd time signature thing, you know?
All right, he's leaving it as it is. Shawn, crank it up, turn it down, or leave it as it is, apparently.
Warming up, was that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll crank that up. Yeah. Definitely crank it up. And I have to say this. I do find it very annoying sometimes when you're sharing a bill with somebody and the drummer's warming up a little too much. He's out there, he's just playing. You know, I'm like,
wait,
on
the
dude.
kit?
No,
or...
like on a pad or something.
Yeah.
He's just playing on a table. Like you've seen this?
Oh, dude.
Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
yes.
like I'll warm up with like some. You know, I'll do singles into doubles and just kind of that thing, like, you know, just singles into doubles and back and forth kind of thing. Throw some other things in there, but that's kind of my warm up. Singles into doubles.
Yeah.
I like make them sound even, you know, you know, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, then there's guys that are too like happy out there. It's like, you know, then like they're just playing all over the place. Like
This
they're
guy's-
warm up. All right, you're warmed up, bro.
Yeah,
chill out.
Save
man.
it for the show.
Save
right?
it for the show.
This
man.
guy's backstage destroying
Yeah.
the back of a couch, just like
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like that's not warming up. But yeah, a little warm up is good. Stretching, like I didn't do any
Stretching
warm ups this
is
weekend
so
when you were up
important.
there. Like
yeah.
you know, before I left, I did. I was at my pad a little bit, and then I left, and then just before I went on, you know, I like to do the sticks where you just flip them around, just kind of like, you know, stretch out
Stretch out your hands a little
stretch
bit.
out my hands a little bit, and then I'm good.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. Nothing
Right,
too
you're
crazy.
listening to listening to yourself, you know,
Right.
like making sure everything's even, and if it's something that's not, you just like focus on what's not working, and then
Right.
dial it in, and then you're good to go. And it could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes. You just don't know how long it's going to take, you know.
Yeah, just don't overdo it. Crank it
Yeah.
up, but don't be that
Yeah.
guy that's just playing all over everything.
Don't show me what you just learned.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
God.
Anybody watching?
Yeah.
Should not be looking for you
Okay,
to
I
watch you
get it.
warming up.
It's like, okay, I get it. You got chops.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Dude, I
Exactly.
keep knocking these presents.
It's okay. It's okay. You knock one over, that means you bought it. You break it, you buy it.
behind door number 1?
Those are just empty.
That's a drum dial. That's a $150 drum dial right there.
Yeah, that's what this is right here. Yeah, I'm cranking it up, although with the asterisk, which comes along with warming up, practicing, pushing myself, learning new things, that I don't do it enough. I feel like I know it's a good idea, but how often do I actually do it is way
Dang, you
less.
just made me think about something, because
Go ahead.
like you were just saying, I was taking it in the context of a show. Like
Yep.
I was like, like I was saying, like I try not
Yeah.
to, but if I'm practicing at home, I definitely warm up every single day, Because like, if you're going to be sitting down there for like, I don't know, I practice a lot. I'll do like an hour and a half, 2 hours a day. If I'm going to be playing drums for an hour and a half, like I need to be loose. I need to be stretched.
And does warming up, you mean just you sit at a practice pad?
Yeah, like I'll take like one like simple, like lately I've just been working on just single alternating flams, and like just working on different like exercises of just like changing the position of my grip, and just doing it for like 15 minutes and just really working on that. So that way when I dive into like my exercises, like I'm not like, there's no tightness, you know, or whatever it is. Or if I'm working on a song and I have to like play hard,
Nice.
you know, I don't need to, or I can feel as loose as possible.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Being out in the wild versus if you're about to teach all day is a different scenario.
Totally, yeah.
Different
What
scenario.
they call real world situations there.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, before I jump into talking more about students and stuff, that actually has to do with our next segment. Let's jump into drum industry news.
Dude, every time.
Wow, that comedian that we have that tells jokes in between each segment is really great.
Dude.
So, drum industry news. This is where we shine light on facets. I love using the word facets as much as possible of the drum industry that people don't know a lot about, because we have Brian here.
Okay.
And he's got a unique perspective. Shawn and I have the shop perspective of a similar thing. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about student investment. As an educator and us running the shop in a shop that does private lessons, we really have we see a lot of students coming in, and you kind of get invested in their journey, and we're just here to kind of help them get to the next step. Sometimes students hang around forever and it's just like they enjoy taking lessons. Other times people have very specific goals that they want to achieve, like maybe an audition or something that's really short term, or long term, I want to be able to play in a band, and they kind of get to the point where they feel comfortable, and then you got to let them loose. But after that, it's kind of crazy, right? Shawn and I talked about the other day that we see students grow up. Like, especially if people start out young, which we have students that have started in their 70s, but let's talk about specifically kids start out young. They're taking lessons for 7, 8, 10 years. Yeah. It's crazy.
Dude, I got a student right now that he's doing his auditions for college, and like I wrote him a letter of recommendation. I've known him since he was in 3rd grade. I started teaching at the old drum shop. Wow. And like, dude, nice. I mean, like he couldn't sit in a chair, and like he had like a coat that he would always forget at the studio every week, and like he's an adult now. Like he can do things that I can't on the drums. You know what I mean? Like, sure. And it's like I love that. Like
that's awesome.
And like I want the best. I want the absolute best for him, and like I hope he has so much success doing.
Well, that's
all
a
this
reflection on you. You know?
Yeah.
Like they're going to go out there and like, wow, you're a great drummer, and that reflects on you. Like
totally.
well,
Thank you.
Brian,
yeah,
for sure.
No, yeah, definitely.
It's like, damn, you know.
Yeah, and I think part of it too is like this student in particular, he's very he's an open book. Like I can tell him to do something and he's going to do it because like he wants to learn how to do stuff, you know. I think
that's great. And that's why he's excelled so much.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
We always say like the real work happens at home. You know what I mean? Like we try not to use the term homework because a lot of kids are trying to get out of that mentality when they show up at the drum shop. But really that's a lot about, you know, that's where the work gets done.
Yeah,
in between lessons.
I was gonna say like, you know, I don't say like taboo subject, but like, you know, with the pandemic and everything that happened and like the world shutting down and doing virtual lessons, you don't know how students are gonna like progress and all that.
Sure.
And he was definitely in like the category of a handful of students who just were like, I got nothing else to do. I'm gonna learn 8 songs in a month.
Nice.
You know? Yeah, totally. And I was like, damn,
and he actually did it?
You're good. Yeah, dude. He played.
That's great.
I think it was like I can't even remember the songs that he was doing. But it was like one was just like progressively tougher and tougher. The last one I think we did in that series was like Mr. Brightside, which is a hard song, you know, endurance wise. Talk about a song you need to warm up to play.
Absolutely. Shawn just faked his way through that song the other night.
I did.
Yeah. I did. Ronald Vannucci Jr., dude. He's
a great drummer.
Dude, nobody talks about that guy, but
let's talk about him.
Man,
let's talk about him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about him. Drummer for the Killers. Yeah. For those of you who might not know, absolutely killer. He's got so much cool rhythmic stuff going on, and he inspires me to want bigger and bigger cymbals. Dude, I swear to you, all of his crashes are like 22 inches.
Dude, his ride cymbal's got to be 28 inches, dude.
Like, it's insane.
He looks, and you know what, dude, when I watch, there's like not a lot of like interviews of him. It's always him and Brandon Flowers. Yeah. But like, when you watch him play, he looks so loose.
Yeah.
Like he's just got such a great touch on like both hands. Like both hands look exactly the same. Yep. And that like helps, especially with the Killers, because it's a lot of like 16th notes, fast rhythms and stuff, and he's got to like it's got to be even, you know, and he just crushes it live. He sounds great live,
and he's just got that endurance, you know. I always kind of harken back to, we haven't talked about him, I don't think at all on this show yet, Max Weinberg playing with Bruce Springsteen, because dude, he's been playing at least 3.5, 4-hour shows with Bruce for so many years.
Dude, his forearms got to be like this. He's got to be a Hulk, dude.
Dude, insane. And he's just consistent. Like, it's insane. And he like those guys that can lay down some beat. Like, when you start a song, you're like, oh boy, I know this is a long song. Let's see if he slows down. And it's like perfect every single measure.
Bruce is so energetic, man. So you gotta back that energy
and
up.
You're his drummer.
Like convey it.
Talk about a hard gig to be able to.
That'd be a sweet gig though. I bet he's doing well.
I'm sure he's
the
fine.
Conan gig too.
Yeah, that and that. Yeah, for sure.
God.
But yeah. Ronnie Vannucci, same thing. When he starts on like Mr. Brightside or something, and you're like, but you're like, what? He has to keep this going for like 5 minutes because I know they're gonna do a breakdown and then come back in, you know.
And he's got it's like that accented 16th note hi-hat pattern on there, and it's like keeping that. Like, I think that's a hard thing with like drumming, is like you got to deliver the same measure the same way every single time.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that's what that guy is like doing. Yeah. You know, that's a hard mindset to put yourself in.
Yeah,
when
you
you're
can't
playing.
get out there and blast away, and you're nailing it, and then by the third song you're like, oh, it's
totally
falling
gassed.
apart. Yeah,
right?
Gassed out. You know, it's like, no, you got to keep that up.
And you know when they were a band starting out, that's the opener. That's the first song you play, dude. You want to burn that place down, dude. You want to make
you make a statement. Keep people there.
Everybody will remember that song.
Absolutely.
I remember that song.
So when you taught Max Weinberg,
he was a great student. I've just watched him age.
Yeah, I know. So he started in 3rd grade with you. Is that right? You look great, by the way.
Thank you, man.
No, but it is important. I mean, you're talking about those students that you can pick out. Like, I think every teacher could name. It's not like choosing a favorite kid. This is like, okay, who's putting in the most amount of work? You could talk to every teacher and be like, okay, these 3 people have the dedication and commitment that it takes to like take it to that level.
Totally.
Where it's like, okay, they could get that gig if they can continue on this trajectory. And then, like I was mentioning earlier, then sometimes they leave. What has that been like? I'm sure you've had students who have
like
come
move on.
to you. Like let's talk specific scenario here. Student comes to you, their goal, whether they know it or not in the beginning, is to play with a band. Eventually they play with a band, they want to go do their own thing. What is that transition like?
Like if they were to
when they go to do that. Yeah. I mean when they feel like they've gotten
can I
what
say
they
from
want.
like my personal experience,
Yes.
they just stay because they want to keep learning. Like honestly, if it's like a kid, you know what I mean? Like adults are, a different kind of situation because they're like,
we'll talk about that in a sec.
Right,
But
I want to learn how to play some songs or something. But like, I think that like, I had this happened at the drum shop years ago. This was before your time, but I had this student who was a good player, and like he could play through songs and he liked playing rock, but he wouldn't come home and he wouldn't go home and practice, and like we'd have to maybe review like a tough fill or something like that in the week, and you coast. Sometimes you have to coast in lessons for a little bit. Like there'll be like 2 or 3 weeks where it's like, okay, we're kind of rehashing the same stuff, or like maybe we'll listen to some songs. And I showed this kid how to play the Fatback groove. You know, the one with Dennis Chambers where it's like, and whatever, he was eating it up. And he comes back the following week, and his dad, like before I go into the room, like for the lesson, he like pulls me aside. He's like, I don't know what the hell you did, but this kid has been practicing 8 hours a day. And he started 2 bands. Yeah. Like, and I was like, I have no idea what he's up to. I haven't seen him in, I'm going to say maybe 10 years. But like those moments that like, where like you have a song that can change, like maybe you had a song when you were learning something where you figured out how to play something. You're like, oh, I can do this. Like I can do this. And like, you just want more and more of that. And the more
I've had those moments.
Right? Yep. Yeah. Like, and you still try to have those moments, especially like being like a musician at home and trying to practice and like, learn some stuff. There's like things where you're like, oh yeah, like this was
finally,
this is worth the pain
that light
and
bulb
struggle.
Pops up and you're just like, okay,
that.
Yeah,
here we go.
This is it.
You get reinvigorated to do that.
Right. And you just have a whole new perspective on just like what your capabilities are and like what you want to listen to. Because you can hear so much more in music now.
That's a cool type of groove too, because it's musical.
Totally.
It's like it's not just you're going like playing a basic, straight forward beat. It's like there's a lot going on with that, and once you start grasping that, you just want to continue playing it.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You can sink your teeth into it. You're like, oh, this feels good. This is neat.
And it's such like a launching point for like I was saying, like other types of song, because if you like that, well then you're gonna like James Brown. If you like that, you might like the Meters, or if like you don't want to do that, you might like Steely Dan, or you might like something else.
That's the feedback at that point. Once you get that as a teacher, you can be like, okay, here I can guide you right this direction or that direction.
Totally. And then as students get older and they get like more competent in playing, like say it was a student who's like, I want to be we have a lot of students who like come through and they're like, I want to play in my church band, and like they get that gig pretty soon, You can. There's or like it's. I would say it's not. I think that the culture of that scene is really good for bringing in young talent and nurturing young people to play, because like it's like the gift that keeps on giving, but like somebody's going to need to pass that on. Somebody's going to need to pass that on. Right. And like, you're going to get that opportunity sooner than you think. And I know, I know that,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the barrier to entry is so minimal there.
Totally.
And you can play everything super simply and it's accepted there. I always encourage people to do that. I'm just like, just play in church for a while. It's a real easy place. the crowd's not going to boo you.
No,
know?
Dude. I mean, you want to talk about them? Yo, dude, can you imagine that, dude? Boo. Oh my God, dude, that'd be the worst. I couldn't imagine like this dude be like, "Yo, how was your service on Sunday?"
Yeah,
they threw eggs at me.
They turned on me.
Cranked it down.
Cranked it down.
Oh my
hardcore.
God, yeah, no, I
that's cool. But for you to be like, that's what I'm saying. This investment it's something that it happens to all of us, and none of us really realize it until it's like, oh wow, that person. And then if something happens, like someone graduates or goes away to college, it's like big. It's like, wow, I've seen you every week in here for years.
Yeah.
Almost. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and then like, you obviously you're once you graduate high school, you're obviously like a different person, right? You get to experience like the real world, but then they go off and learn stuff and they come back and hang out. I'm like, show me what you learned. Like or like talk to me like what you needed to work on when you were in school, so that way like if I have a student auditioning for school, I can have them more prepared for this,
Yeah. Can you talk about what is it like when a student, or not even a former student, someone comes to you for lessons and they're already an experienced drummer? What is that scenario normally like? Just from your experience, like what do they bring in, and do they have more specific goals or less specific goals? What is that interaction like?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of that is like so like situation dependent.
Sure.
Like I had this one kid who he started taking lessons with me maybe like a couple years ago, and he was like a fantastic player by all like stretches of the imagination. Like if he went out and he started playing shows, he's fine. Like he doesn't need lessons for that, But like he had a goal where he's like, I want to work on like working music or reading music, or like I want to expand on some other ideas, or like I like this drummer and I want to kind of like see like what their like their habits are, or like so like transcribing things and being like, okay, like how do you take this information from this person, take it out and make it your own? So like that's like a specific thing. You can work on technique. A lot of things that I'm saying, like for me, I didn't have a lot of technique was not a focus when I was learning how to play. And I think that a lot of my deficiencies in my playing can be attributed to my lack of technique or understanding or learning to understand technique. And a lot of young students just want to go notes. They want to play the notes. They want to play the notes. They want to play the notes, and the notes are the easiest thing you're going to learn how to play on the drums.
Sure.
The technique and the way you hit the drum is how you draw the sound out of the drum, right? And the more efficient you are at pulling that out or understanding how you're holding the stick, how tight you're holding the stick or throwing the stick into the drum is going to affect the tone that you're pulling out. Like we were talking about earlier with like the rim knocks, flipping your stick around, just being able to hear that. So, that's another thing that you could work on. You could work on, I don't know, like something that they've never even done before, like say like they're, a great rock player and be like, yo, dude, we're going to work on jazz. And like, I don't want to work on jazz, and be like, too bad. Like you're like,
you came to me for a reason.
Yeah, dude, like you can play every Nirvana song on this, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. You need
you're
a fresh
solid,
perspective
dude.
now. Yeah.
Speaking of Nirvana, I had a 4-year-old kid one time. I was taking lessons he was taking lessons at drums, etc.
Yep.
And his dad's like, yeah, he doesn't know how to play too much, or he plays all the time, but like he's 4, don't expect too much. Yeah. And I was like, hey,
That's
man,
real young.
I go, play what you know how to play. And this kid plays like the entire album of like In Utero, like start to finish. Like, dude, like it was insane. And the kid is like hitting it was like one of those Tony Royster freak videos. You're like, I'm like, what? Like, oh, and he could tell the difference between Roger Waters and David Gilmour's voice in Pink Floyd. Right? Like
no one can tell the difference.
Like 4, man, dude. Like you're like, all right, dude, what do you need to work on? Like,
wow,
that's intimidating.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you took lessons from this 4-year-old at drums, etc.,
he's like,
that's
man,
cool.
He's like, just hit the drums, man.
Yeah, every now and then we'll see a kid come in like that.
Yeah.
I can think offhand of like 2 or 3 different kids, and it's always a surprise, because for every one kid that comes in like that, we have 100 grandparents being like, he's so great, and then the video is just nonsense that they show us. You know what I mean? Like,
Totally.
Can you see him playing the song? And I'm like, there's a song playing in the background.
Yeah, but
that
not
has
playing.
nothing to do with what they're doing behind the drum or pot or pan or whatever. But like, keep encouraging it and come back when he's probably 7.
Yeah, and then the other kid, you're just like, can we hire him?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Is it cool if he starts
The other
teaching
kid's just
lessons
like,
here?
Yeah. So it seems like he doesn't even need lessons. He's good. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think situation dependent.
Yeah, super situational. As far as the in person, that's the beauty of private lessons is you get to dive into what the person wants to work on, or you have the freedom as a teacher to say, here's the direction we're going to go with you because this is what you need.
And I'll just say this too, like, let's just say like, we're talking like young kids right here, or just like teenagers, stuff like people who are not like 18. They don't have the perspective of like how much music they've learned yet, or life experiences to be like, I can be like, okay, yeah, you're doing this, but this is where you're going to end up. Like, this is where I think you could end up. Let's go try to work towards this.
Guide them towards that. Yeah. Kind of give them what they need to kind of work towards that.
Sprinkling a little magic.
A little magic in.
And they're already doing the work, you know? And those lessons are also hard too, because you actually have to show up prepared. You know what I mean? It's not playing Seven Nation Army. It's not. It's like you're playing some deep stuff. Like you need to know how to count it and talk about it in a way that's not like I'm lecturing you.
Right, and be able to demonstrate some things. Break it down rather that it's not you're not offhand gonna have all these tracks at every BPM and be able to have a perfect video of the guy playing. No, you need to be able to replicate what you're teaching.
Yeah, totally.
To a certain degree.
Definitely. And that's going and showing them that whole process of like, I had, another student I was working on a transcription with. I think I spent a month trying to just learn like all the nuances and like the things to talk about in it. And being able to demonstrate it in front of them is like, an awesome thing too. But then you can talk about like, oh, this is how they're moving their hand, right? Or this is the rudiment they're talking about or thinking about right here. Or it's the groove is really between the hands and the bass drum is really accentuating like the syncopation, right? As opposed to like, maybe something that's from the bottom up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's I think that's a really good point. Being able to talk and demonstrate.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's great. Well. Your perspective's awesome.
I could talk about this stuff all day, man.
I know. We better cut it off.
Yeah.
We better cut it off. But let's pop ahead. Let's get nerdy about gear. Let's pop in the Hall of Fame.
All right.
We are nerds about drums. You're listening to a drummer's podcast, which means you're probably a nerd about drums too. And the nerdiest thing that we can talk about drums isn't the technique. It's not the approach to playing. It's not about our practicing or what flams we like to play when we warm up. It's the gear and the slight minute differences between the gear. So today we're going to induct another piece of gear into the Hall of Fame. This is the 11th inductee. One more episode finishes out the year. The 11th inductee into the Drum Key Hall of Fame is the Aquarian Super Kick.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking super kicks, and I know we've all got a lot of experience with the Aquarian Super Kick drumhead. This is a Super Kick 2. I hesitate to say just Super Kick 2 because all the Super Kicks have the same technology. The 2 is for a double ply, and the box is on the floor, and the Super Kick is in the room. Woo! So, basic bass. I didn't mean to pun there. I'm going to say basically as much as possible. Basically, what we're looking at here is a bass drum head that has some muffling built into it. Very rarely do we ever have someone come into the store looking for a bass drum sound that is wide open.
I'm the guy.
Right? Usually, we want a bass drum sound that has a little bit of muffling to just control those overtones a little bit. And the Super Kick is great at, I think this is the number one reason that pillows have left bass drums.
Dude, crank that up to 15, dude. Mm-hmm. For real. Like that was the first bass drum head I bought. That's the first accessory I bought for my drums. When in 6th grade, dude. Super Kick 2.
Yep. This is the one that started it all. This is the one that started it all. When this came out, it changed everything. Before that, you had to have a blanket in your bass drum.
Felt strips.
Strips. This came out. Roy Burns, the inventor of the Super Kick and also the former founder of Aquarian Drumheads. When I bought my first drum set, Rick gave me a VHS tape that was basically an introduction to drums. It was a Roy Burns tape, but it was it was an Aquarian tape. Yeah. But he went over his products and he talked about it all, and then he played some basic stuff. Like I still have the darn thing. But it was a
Put
Roy
that
Burns
in the
tape.
Hall of Fame, dude.
I should. It's
Roy
great.
Burns VHS.
So I've been well aware of Aquarian drum heads ever since the 90s, and the Super Kick 2 really changed it all. A lot of companies, of course, have come out with their version of it with prefabricated muffle rings built into the drum head. I like the Super Kick 2 because it's a double ply head. I think especially if you're a rock player, you want a double ply head.
Yeah, for sure.
You definitely do, because if you break that head, game over.
You get that safety net of one ply breaking,
over.
and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and always put
Just
a patch
happened
on
the
it.
other day at our studio.
Yeah.
We had a EMAD die.
Yep.
Not a super kick because they don't break.
But you put this sucker on your bass drum, you're like a god. You put this, you're like, oh my god, what did you do to my bass drum?
The bass drum head by itself sounds better than most bass drums.
Listen to that.
Like that sounds like that's what.
Dude, how many recordings do you think that kick drum head is on?
Many.
Tonnage.
Tonnage.
It it makes a $500 drum set sound like a $2,000 drum set for real.
It sure does, yeah. And I had to smell it. This head has a distinct smell. I don't know if it's the ring or the mylar they use or something.
The oil?
But I don't know. There's no oil in this.
Oh, no oil?
No.
Nope.
It
Just
looks
two
like
plies.
there is.
Yeah.
Two
There's
plies
that
that's there.
rainbow, that's just the plies like touching together. But most
Gotcha.
people think this is hydraulic. Only Evans makes a hydraulic head.
It has oil in it.
Look at that. I learned something new today.
Yeah, and that is their patented floating muffling system. That's what they call it. It is the floating muffling system. And their description of it is a beautiful thing. They've had a lot of years to come up with it.
I want to hear it.
Pre-dampened, yet natural sound. Check it out today at Drums Etc., the Aquarian Super Kick 2.
5 minutes outside of Lancaster.
5 minutes outside of Lancaster. Yep, we're here.
In beautiful,
yeah.
not downtown Lancaster.
In beautiful suburb of Lancaster. But yeah, the Super Kick is and was the first of this pre-dampened kind of movement. Let's talk about them. We got to talk about them. The Evans EMAD, also a great option. The equivalent here would be the Evans EMAD 2 plies, Super Kick 2 plies. The EMAD has that adjustable dampening on the outside. The Aquarian head just puts the dampening that you're likely going to want out of the get. But this is on the inside of the drum. The EMAD dampening is on the outside of the drum, so you can change it out, swap it out, take the ring out, put the small ring in, put the big ring in, and turn it all around. But
I think that's fussing too much. I think most people don't ever.
I think people set it and forget it.
I bought an EMAD and I just took whichever foam piece came out first and I just put it in there. Right?
Exactly. I think most folks do that.
It's a little fussy. But it is an option. If people are picky and finicky.
Pinicky.
Wow.
If
You just
people
made up
are
a new
pinicky
word.
about drum heads,
You made up
the
a new
EMAD's
word.
nice.
Point here.
Yeah, exactly. But the EMAD's great. It is another awesome head. It's going to do most of the same things that this drum head does as far as get that bass drum booming out of the gate.
Does the Super Kick come coated?
Yes.
Yep.
The Super Kick.
I don't know that I've
3
ever
is coated.
I've never
Oh no,
seen.
actually no. I'm sorry. The Super Kick 3 is a coated head, but it has a dot on it. What you need is the TC Super Kick 2, the texture coated Super Kick 2.
Yeah, texture coated.
So they make a.
Do you guys carry that in the store?
We can get it.
We
But
don't.
speaking of what we carry in the store, how this head is so powerful that we literally stock every head that Remo makes, every head that Evans makes, and one Aquarian head, and it's the Super Kick 2.
Dude, Corey, my business partner at the Upside has come in here multiple times, and you guys haven't had them because they've just been sold out.
Always. We're
Yeah,
always
we're out of it. We're
He
out
was
of
like,
one
I
of these right
swear
now.
to
Always out
God,
of
I hope
Super
they have a
Kicks.
22.
Yep.
Yeah, the 22, right?
Always.
Who plays a
know.
20-inch
There are a
bass drum?
few things that
I'll
annoy
get
me.
I'll get them like 20 at a time, and we'll
And
sell
that's
through
one.
them.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. We sell through them. We sell them online. We sell them in store. I'm a proponent of it, so I'm constantly saying, "Oh, you need a Super Kick. You need a Super Kick. You need a Super Kick." But we're always out of it. It's always annoying. I can't believe it. Just like right now, I think we're out of sleigh bells. Why are we in this situation? We think we have enough.
Every
All of a
year.
sudden, boom, we're out of sleigh bells. Why?
Always. I load up on them always.
It's so annoying.
And every year, here's what happens. This is what happens every single year. We load up on sleigh bells, we sell through them all, and then another big order comes in that I panic ordered after we first ran out of them.
Sitting
And then
on
for
them.
the rest of the year, we've got 20 sets of sleigh bells
Right.
just sitting down there.
We need
waiting
more
for
sleigh
next
bells and
Christmas.
recordings. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. No, but we do need to give an honorable mention to the brand new Remo SMT, which looks like an EMAD, sounds like a Super Kick, but is somehow slightly different. It's got a ring on the outside, so it kind of looks like an EMAD, but you can adjust it. So it's like a little bit of super kick, a little bit of EMAD. Remo won't like me saying this, but hey, this is why we're here. We're a drum shop. We're impartial. We're just going to give it to you as it is. All three, by the way, will get you a great sound. So if you do need to substitute, you'll get the great sound.
That's right.
But the Aquarian by far is
Can I say as a teacher, though, if I was going to recommend like to a student, they're like, I want a new bass drum head, I'd be like, get the super kick too. Like, don't mess around. Like that one, you're going to sound great with that, and then you can adjust from there.
And what an awesome name, Super Kick. Like,
And Myra like, yeah, super.
Super Kick.
I showed you that. I introduced you to the movie Grind. I grew up as a skater kid, so I dig skateboard movies, even though 90% of them are total garbage.
Right.
Not skate videos, but movies about skaters and skate teams and stuff.
Okay.
And in the movie Grind, their name, which one guy just comes up with and everyone else hates, is Super Duper Skate Team. So every time I see Super Kick, I'm like, it's Superhead, guys. It's Super Duper.
Super Kick.
It's a joke for himself.
It is. It is. That's why I laugh so much
Yeah.
when you, Super Kick. I'm like, Super Duper. No, but I dig it. I mean, I can't say we've talked about it to death. It's a great bass drum head. And like I said, everyone's kind of going for that sound. Whether they admit to it or not, everyone's kind of going for that sound. It seems like that from our experience of folks coming in. There are some guys that like to keep some open power strokes going on, a little bit more stuff with the jazzy jazz vibe, but for
I mean,
sure,
if you're playing
else,
jazz, well, I don't know, man. I got a,
but even jazz. I mean, you
I've
can
got
do
I've got a
whatever you want.
bebop kit right now with it's a. No, it is this. It's a super. It's a super kick one, so it's a single ply.
Single ply,
right? But
Yep.
it's still got. You just crank it up super high, dude, and it sounds great. It sounds great.
Right.
You know, it's not a fiber skin or anything like that, but it sounds great.
Yeah. It's a super versatile head. I mean, and it's actually, no, that's not the word. We end up using that word so much, saying versatile. Like everything is versatile. This is the most versatile brush stick. How about we get back to specific things?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
This belongs
sounds
over here. This belongs
Boomy.
over here.
This sounds boomy.
Yeah.
And specifically, it's great for rock and roll.
It slaps.
It slaps.
Yeah, dude.
It slaps.
It's dynamic.
Yeah, but not too dynamic. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Now I'm just being fussy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. That's a super kick, man. Can't say anything else about it. It's just a drum head, folks. It's just a drum head, but it will change your life. All right, let's pop into our next segment. Quick question. Quick question for you guys. We get this all the time when folks come into the store. If they preamble their question on the phone, big time on the phone. Hey, quick question for you. The answer is extremely long. The question may be quick, but it's going to be a conversation we're going to have. So I've got a quick question for you guys. Quick question. I'm moving to an apartment, but still want to be able to play my drums and practice. What do you recommend?
Oh, yes, I've got this one. Can I have the floor
Yeah,
here?
please.
Have the floor.
All right.
We're going to leave.
Remo Silent Strokes. All right, the mesh heads. I think the bass drum, you have to actually buy a bass drum head, like a specific bass drum head for it. And the Zildjian, I don't know, the low volume cymbals.
L80 low volume cymbals.
Dude, okay, so I live in a townhome, and I've got a neighbor right next to me. Sorry, it's a twin, not a townhome. And I practice a lot. And during the pandemic, everybody's home all the time, right? And I was able to practice any hour of the day, 7 days a week, whenever I wanted. Even like my wife would be upstairs sleeping in the room, in the bedroom, and I'd go downstairs in the basement at like 2 o'clock in the morning because I heard something like in my head, and I would go down and practice, and she couldn't hear it. It was awesome, dude. You can wail on them.
So you're that big of a nerd.
Dude,
How can you be such a nerd and such a cool guy both at the same time?
Dude, I had to come
How is this possible?
I came up with a rule during the pandemic. I couldn't listen to music like after 10 o'clock because like I would just keep thinking, because there's nothing to do. You teach for like, 4 hours or whatever it is. And you're just like, all right, well, I guess I'll go practice or go do something, man, Yeah, and I don't know, you just hear it and you have fun. But here's the thing I'll say about the low volumes, the cymbals, is that they eat your sticks. If you play with the beat of your cymbal, you're not gonna have a tip left. So get yourself a great pair of Vic Firth 5A nylon sticks, right?
Those become your practice sticks then.
Right. Well, yeah, because you're not gonna you're not shedding them because you're not bashing the cymbal, or they don't have nearly as much density.
But they will chip.
They will chip over time, but but the bead
nylon doesn't.
That's what I mean, right? So I think I got a pair of sticks and I found them at like my studio or something, and they're still immaculate. The only marks they have are like from like rim shots or like doing something else. The one thing I'll say about them is you got to crank the heads though. You gotta, because you really want the tone. You're gonna get the tone of the drum. Don't tune them flat. Right, don't tune them flabby because like you're gonna break the head.
Right, and you leave your resonant heads on, normal resonant heads
on,
and you still get a little bit of feedback.
And get like one of the Kevlar patches to go on the kick drum head because I blew through one. Ooh. Like and that was like
and
$50.
What beater do you use for that? I mean, now that you got the patch, use whatever. But
well, dude, actually, so for that kit, I just had some like janky, like old school.
Was it felt?
Yeah, I think it was like one of the Vic Firth ones, like one of the hammer beaters, or it was like I like to play with a round beater, so it could have been one of those two. But honestly, I can't remember like off the top of my head which beater it was.
Yeah,
but I would tell anybody who wants to play with a round beater, especially if you're playing rock, dude, you're gonna get big sound from that.
Yeah. Big, nice punch. The interesting thing, I was wondering about the felt thing because for years, I mean, we were trained by Roland, who had the mesh heads on all their electronic kits, especially when we got those kick towers in that had the mesh fronts, that like newer tower style. I say newer, we're talking newer 2012 probably mesh style, heads, and they're like, do not use felt beaters because it can eat away at that mesh, whatever of how
that
it
makes
was.
Sense.
It not only are you like punching that part, but it's having a chemical reaction with the way it works. Yeah, wild.
That's
I was
wild,
like, wait,
dude.
how does this work?
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, we didn't know. We don't know. But through
I didn't
testing,
know
we
until
discovered
maybe 10
this.
years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, hey, just so you know, if you
Don't
sell
do
these
that.
kits, when you put them out on the floor, make sure you flip that beater around to the plastic side or wood beater or something like that.
Oh,
so that
man.
contributes to that thing. And the heads that are made on those Roland kits are made by Remo. They're essentially 2-ply silent strokes is what is on all those mesh kits for all those years.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. And talking about like the super kick earlier, like that thing can take a beating. Like the bass drum head that I bought in 6th grade, I had up until early this year. I sold a drum set to you guys, and that was the
still
drum.
want it.
Which one? The green one? The Yamaha?
The green one had a super kick. Yeah, is that the same one?
Yeah, that's the one. Did you take that?
It off.
You took that head?
No, you should have taken it off.
That was I had that for almost 20 years, man, and the thing never broke, dude. And I beat that thing up, right? But like, if you play into your bass drum with a silent stroke, like you're playing into a super kick without something on there to absorb that contact, dude, that head's gonna break.
Yep, you need it. You need, especially if you're cranking it up there
totally.
Too. Now, since we're talking silent strokes, do you feel the trampoline kind of effect as far as your rebound being skewered, especially if you're cranking it? Because I know that's a big complaint as far as like the feel is concerned. The sound's great, but the feel is concerned when you start cranking those up.
I think I was fortunate enough that I have a studio in Lancaster that I can practice at, that I can get on some real drums. There's definitely something to be said about like how fast the stick comes off the drum head when it's cranked up. But I think it's something you can figure out within like 5 minutes of playing, being like, oh, I don't need to play like this.
You just adjust.
Right. Yeah.
You just adjust.
Totally.
Yeah. Awesome. So, Shawn, what's your go-to?
Well, it's great that you said the things that you said, but there's a difference.
But you're wrong.
But you're wrong. No, about putting the mesh heads on, because those things are there for a reason, and they're very effective. I like just having an electronic set to be able to play on. So that's my kind of go-to. It's like I love being able to sit down behind my electronic set, and I'm like, boom, I can, learn some songs. I can sit down and play, not bother anyone. I'd rather be playing on.
And you can hear the real drums too when you play with an electronic kit.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you put your headphones on. So that's where my mind goes. I'll say, get yourself a proper electronic kit, which is nice. Also, here's something. If you happen to have cool neighbors, then you're okay. Limiting your time when you're playing, being respectful is also another thing. And then also, when you're an advanced drummer, you're not just bashing and crashing. It's not as obnoxious as when you or the first time sitting down in a kit, first week, first
Sure.
year, even.
Totally, yeah.
Sure.
And it's just
Bringing
like,
it behind
oh my
your head or
god,
whatever.
it's different. It's very different.
Yeah.
You almost don't hear it. I'm a drummer, so I hear drumming all day long, but so I'm maybe a little biased on that. But you're drumming, like if I lived next to you, it probably wouldn't piss me
Well,
off.
like,
Unless
you-
I was trying to sleep.
Well, and like as like a teacher, like it's like a comment that students like, because everybody's like, oh, I don't want to hear loud drums or whatever it is, and like within like a week, like take like a song like Back in Black. It's not a song that I teach often, but like that has such a recognizable drum part, right? And like parents are like, oh, I actually can like hear the song, like it actually sounds good, like it's not
Right.
just loud,
Ba-da, 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 boom.
boom, yeah,
Yeah.
good drum part, you should be able to hear the
Yeah.
entire song through. But like to like what you're saying, like yeah, you if you were my neighbor and you were playing, I'd be like, oh yeah, he's good, like he's got it.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you're just beginning, it could be like drums can be a little annoying.
yeah.
You're like, oh
Yeah.
my god, you're
Yeah.
working through things. Not that you're not working
Yeah,
through
yeah,
things
yeah.
and not
Yeah,
struggling with
sure.
stuff, but there's a different finesse and different touch. You don't have to if you're practicing something. I know you don't. You're not going. "Bah," just you're articulating nicely and you're just playing like. You're like, okay, I'm working stuff out. And you might get a little heavy here and just like whatever, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's very different, and especially if your neighbors know that hey, you're a professional drummer, then they're going to be a little like easy on you a little bit.
Yeah, you said something I thought was interesting that made me think about like the drums, because I thought about buying an electronic set during the pandemic, but I really wanted to make sure that I still understood the shape of my drums.
I just wanted to make sure that I was still into playing drums.
They're all circles, right?
No,
yeah,
no,
right.
no.
No, but like the dimensions, you know what I mean?
I just want to make sure I was going to stick.
All
with
right,
it.
guy.
I was going to stick with it.
Yeah, dude. I just want to make sure I knew that they were still there. No, like
just not cool,
just like
man.
I think maybe you're talking about earlier about like the rebound of like tuning up a high set or something like that. When you go from an electronic kit to like maybe an acoustic kit, going from this drum to this drum is this drum to this drum. It's like an extra couple of inches in between it, or going from here to here. So just that spatial awareness. That's what I should have said. That's what I thought a lot about.
I have my electronic set up exactly like my acoustic set.
Oh,
too.
do you?
Exactly. I mean, probably not to the inch, but
I'm
pretty
the
darn
same.
close.
I'm the same as you. Like my ride's low. Like I've
Yeah.
got my tom split.
It's
Obviously,
exactly
it's
like
like
it.
smaller zones to hit.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Because all right, the amount of drummers out here that have like a TD50 or something with like
Yeah.
drums with
I
shells
was
that are like actually spaced out. No, that's not a reality that most
Totally.
people have. But at least like relative heights, get it set up like your normal kit. You know what I mean? Like I've got acoustic and electronic in my room right now, and that's kind of nice to have. But I set them up the same way. Like you sit down at one, it's the same height, the same levels, that sort of thing. But one thing I'll chime in on here, as far as you're talking about feel and everything, is the biggest complaint that we get about electronic drums is the cymbals. No one's figured that out. And before someone says that the Gen 60 Zildjian cymbals with the pickups figured it out, they didn't. I'm sorry, they didn't.
but the feel, the
feel,
application is there. Like the low volume cymbals feel great.
That's where those came from.
That's what
Yeah.
okay, so there's so much like great technology coming out now that just like outside of like electronic drum, well, I won't say like electronics, but just like say like the whole electronic drum setup. So like Yamaha makes like the EAD10, right? A lot of people are using that now to like make Instagram videos because it has a great mix in it, and you can get triggers that you can plug into it. I think you can plug up to like 4 or something like that into. I don't know what it is. But like,
there's a few trigger
how
options.
how would that sound, if you had that EAD going with like the cymbals, playing at the same time? How much does a good electronic drum set, like not like your entry level kind of thing, what would you spend on a good
you're spending at least $1,700.
I was gonna say $2,000, $2,500.
Yeah, 17. I'd say 15 to $2,000 nowadays for a new kit of something that's going to give you what you need as a drummer that normally plays acoustic to feel comfortable to make that transition.
Right.
There's lower end models, but there's a lot more compromise, and the compromise in feel and setup isn't worth that being your only way.
Totally.
In this scenario, if someone's moving to an apartment, if this is the only way they're going to be able to play
That's true,
drums too, you have to consider that scenario. Like you have access to your normal kit, so like that's cool to you. But like I would say to this person, what are your goals? Like what are you doing? Is it temporary situation, first of all? But the second question I ask is, are you planning on getting rid of your acoustic drums? Because whatever your situation is, I'm either going to try to help convince you talk you into it or talk you out of it.
Yeah.
Because if this is a temporary situation, like, do not sell the amount of horror stories, like people are like, well, I guess I have to sell my drums, and then a couple years comes by and they're like, yeah, that girlfriend's out of my life now and I own a house, and boy, I miss that drum set.
Yeah, and like 15 years later, that drum set is worth like $5,000 because it's like the classic drum of that era.
Inevitably. So that's a big question is, okay, you're moving into an apartment. How permanent is the setup, and what do you need to be able to get done while you're in this situation? Is this your only way of playing? Is this just for you to learn the songs at home, and then you're actually going to be gigging on an acoustic kit? Because that guy gets very different advice from me than the guy who says, no, this is the only way I'm going to be able to enjoy and play drums.
And also, a more advanced player can also get a lot out of just a real fill practice pad. You know, you can do a lot on that. You're like, okay, I've had band practice on a real for practice pad, you know.
Every time you bring this up, it just hurts me.
I've had band practice, but like, we needed one more freaking rehearsal. I'm like, all right,
grab like the Gibraltar bass drum
no,
pad.
I didn't need it because I'm just going to tap on the floor and just play along, just rhythm, you know. So whatever it is, but you can get, you know, you can play anything you need to on a practice pad.
Yeah, and if your rhythm's tight and you understand like how you're accenting a backbeat, like which you totally know how to do, then it's everybody knows what you're doing.
So yeah.
Yep. Name of the game, once again, is self-awareness of what is going to motivate you to actually progress in the way that you want to progress.
Well, hopefully you got a lot out of that.
That was really easy question that took.
That's what I'm saying. This is what
25 minutes to answer.
These are the questions we get on the phone.
I have an opinion.
Listen, we get on the phone. These are the questions. That's why we're here. This is long form.
Get an electronic drum set. No.
Yeah.
Mesh heads.
Yeah.
So practice.
No, I'm gonna play the keyboard with my fingers.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Why not that?
Exactly.
Why not that?
Yeah.
Exactly. But you got to know yourself, know your situation, what's going to keep you drumming. That's what we're concerned about. But if you have any questions, go to your local drum shop. Call your local drum shop. Call us. We'll talk to you about it. We'll talk you through the options.
Call me.
Call Shawn. Call Shawn. He'll help you out because there's different scenarios that work for everyone. And
5 minutes is my limit, though, and I got to get back to
5
work.
minutes, or you got to buy something.
I have a lot.
You got to buy something.
Okay, you understand?
Sorry, I'm out.
But really, that's all it would take to assess the situation. All right, sounds good. Quick question is done. Folks, if you have any questions for us or you have ideas for the show, different prompts, you want something in the Hall of Fame, you got to crank it up, turn it down, check out our Discord channel. We'll have it linked below. You can check that out and we can chat with you. You can share your setup where you're chatting from if you'd like, and that's how we get our ideas. Either that or I have to come up with them 5 minutes before we go on air. Either way, let's jump into our last segment, really dive into Brian's story as we transition into Between the Plies.
I told him that.
All my best ideas just come to me
because
after
you're a
Shawn says them out loud. No, but Between the Plies, this is where we get to, I hope you're prepared to separate your plies and see what's really in there.
All right, we're going deep.
We're going real deep. As deep as we can go, at least. We're not going molecular, but we're at least going to see what's in there. But Brian Doherty, thank you for being here, dude. This is sweet. And I'm very excited to dig into your story a little bit because I actually don't know a lot of this. I met you as being, you were a teacher at Drums Etc. when I walked in.
Yeah.
Like you said, you were there before me, man.
Yeah.
You were there before me.
I saw a lot of people come in through that door or in through that door all the time, man. Mm-hmm. And, anyways.
Yeah, but how did you get your start in drumming? That's what I really want to get. Like drumming, percussion. I know you're a keyboard player.
So as a kid, I loved music. Like I always loved music. Okay. And I had an older sister who played clarinet, and she was in the symphonic band, which is like the higher like performing band or whatever. And they were doing their winter concert in high school. And usually for like those concerts, the jazz band opens up, opens up the show. Mm-hmm. And I guess when the show was going on, I couldn't take my eyes off the drummer. Like I was just like so enamored with everything that was going on. And my dad afterwards was like, "Dude, do you want to like learn how to play drums?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." And he's like, "Do you want to learn from that guy?" And I was like, does he teach? Like, is that a thing? And my dad went up to him afterwards and was like, hey, my son really wants to learn drums. You want to like teach him how to play drums, dude?
Yeah.
And his name was Dan Jones. I don't know if anybody knows Dan Jones. He used to play in a band called The Commercials. Maybe you, that's like, it's like your era or
Shout
whatever.
out
But it's
Dan Jones.
like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Central PA. But he, I think he's down in Nashville now. But dude, he taught me everything I know about, like he taught me so much about like how to be like, you know, I'll say like, you know, a kid, a teenager, but
was he in high school at the time?
Yeah, he was a year younger than my older sister. So like,
And how old were you?
I was in 6th grade. So that would have put my sister, I think, in 10th or 11th grade. So I think he might have been a freshman actually that year. So,
and it's amazing because that is a big difference between like 6th grade, like you're a 6th grader and he's already in high school, 9th, 10th grade. Like that's huge.
Right, dude. And like, and you think like you're, you know, 25 and you look at, you know, or let's say a 22-year-old, you see that difference, but you're 30 and you're just like, how old are you? Oh, cool. I don't care, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like,
but that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Especially
And
when
dude,
he's in it learning. Like
and
he's like a wise old man compared to your knowledge of drums at that point.
I mean, like, you know, where we grew up, like he's definitely like, I would say like a kind of like a local legend, you know, in my book for sure. But like, he knew what he was doing. Like he was a very competent drummer as well too. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, here, I'll teach you how to play drums. Like he knew what he was doing. And he taught me a lot about like how to like listen to songs and like what to listen for in songs.
Jeez.
You know, like, well, like, so like I loved like the band that I think I cut my teeth on was Led Zeppelin. And, you know, anybody, you know, John Bonham is the GOAT, but he's a hard drummer to teach students because it's like, when you first start learning, it's like you got to learn how to play groove. And John Bonham's like, okay, here's groove A, groove B, groove C, all in the verse, and I'm gonna kind of skate between this. And you need to understand like how to do it. And Dan really kind of like showed me the ropes of just being like, you know, you really got to listen to the bass player, but also like he's really grooving off of Jimmy Page. And I couldn't thank him enough for for where I'm at right now. Like I owe everything to him. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't.
Right, and that first person that kind of shows you the ropes is super important in every drummer's life. Yeah. And that's awesome that it was a positive experience. It wasn't anything where.
And he was encouraging. He was like, "What do you like?"
That's it.
Yeah.
And you still do that with your students.
Try to, man. And then like sometimes you just supplement it, being like, "You need to go do this." You know, he'll just like open your mind to something. Be like, "Oh, you want to listen to Maroon 5? No, man, that band's not cool." It's like, listen to this drum track. This is awesome. Songs About Chain is like a top 10 album for me. And I wouldn't have found it without him too, you know. So
yeah, it's important. So you start taking lessons with him. Do you stick with it? Do you join like school band then?
So I mentioned this in my my shop talk, but I wanted to play saxophone. It was the first instrument I wanted to play, and I couldn't make a sound come out of it. I broke the reed, and they were like, "Go play trumpet." Couldn't make a sound come out of the trumpet. They're like, go play drums. So I was like playing snare drum. So I was like into it, right? And I had liked music. And so I was in school band for all the subsequent years. And I think I stopped taking lessons with him when I was in 11th grade. So he had already graduated from high school at that point. But I was really into like sports. Like I really wanted to play sports. And I was like, it's like the, you know, with students, I'm dealing with it now. It's just like, hey, I've got soccer coming up. It's just like, yeah, I know you do, but like you're a great drummer, like stick with it. But being in that boat, I'm not going to be like, yo, don't do it. And so I stopped taking lessons with him for a bit, but I stayed with the band, and I took one semester off. I wanted to take a class that like, you know, that was, I don't say like not like an advanced class, but I only could take it at this time, and it was during band class, and I was miserable, dude. Like I everything sucked. And I dropped the class and I picked band up, and I was like, at like literally the first chord I heard from like the whole horn section, I was like, this is what I've been missing. Like this is what life is, right?
That's what you needed.
Dude, like, you know what you just you know when you're like, I don't know, did you guys play in band class or whatever? But like for me, it's just like sometimes like music is emotional, and like you arrive on that chord that's just like, yeah, that's the one, and like I just get that tingling sensation down your spine, and that was it. And I was like, I can never miss this again in my life.
Well, you know, I totally understand that because I I felt that way just playing in like my basement band.
yeah.
You hit that chord, and you just going to town.
Dude, or like you go into the double time section and your head's just flapping all over the place. Yeah.
Like,
Yep. All three of your friends in the audience. This is my experience. It's not a big band. All three of your friends in the audience just like, yeah, and I'm
That's
like, it's all been worth it. I'm a rock star.
We're so cool, man.
Yeah. No, but that attraction, I mean, no matter what form it comes in, the attraction to be involved in music, and you're like, okay, I need to contribute to this at some point, but I'm just happy to be around it.
Yeah.
It's such like a common thread with all of us starting out. It's just like, I want to be around that or doing that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I remember being, before I was actually even in a band, pretending to be, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, we're in a band. Like, I remember walking around telling people I was in a band, but we never like had practice yet. Like, as soon as the possibility of being in a band, I was like, yeah.
Yo, what if they were like, yo, we're having a house show tonight. Like, you got to show up with your band tonight. Were you gonna be like, oh crap? Like, what do we know, dude? On the spot.
We showed up. I'm not saying it was good.
You kayfabed.
Yeah.
Pre-stop sign, post-stop sign.
This is just pre-stop sign.
Yeah. Dude, but like you're saying, like contributing, like, but like I love music. I love playing drums, but I love music. And like you guys know, like you have like songs that you listen to in your life that like you just listen to again. The song comes back on and you play it again and you play that again and you play. And I feel like I've had so many songs in my life, especially during that era, that I would just listen to on repeat. I would start the song over again. In Memory of Elizabeth Reed is a song I'm thinking about from the Allman Brothers. I would just, Dwayne Allman's solo is so epic at the end, and then just start it over again. 13 minutes later, start it over again.
Yep.
You just want to feel that way,
That's it. And then getting the first time that you're involved in producing that sound.
Yeah.
Like I remember covering songs with people for the first time and really like getting it together after playing it. Like when you first start playing something, it's awful and someone's off or this one's that. Everyone, like after the last notes hit, everyone just starts apologizing for everything they screwed up during that song. But like the first time you get to the end and everyone's like, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
it feels amazing.
And then they blame the drummer.
Oh,
they're like, yeah, dude, you missed that fill there.
Oh, naturally. Once they've mastered their part and make no mistakes, then it goes on us. But that's great. So at that point, I imagine with the school band thing, it wasn't just like, hey, we need a drum set player, because that never happens. It was everything.
No, yeah, I mean, like I mostly did like snare drum. I had some friends in the band too, so that was like, it was like some camaraderie stuff too. Cool. Like I had friends that I played sports with.
Were they percussion?
No, well, one of them is actually a fantastic drummer, and he's a fantastic guitar player as well. His name is Adam Stair. I don't know if anybody knows him. Maybe
shout out Adam.
Yeah, but he's another guy who like he was a year older than me, but like he's like one of those musicians that are just like, he's just so effortless when he plays. Mm-hmm. Like he just makes it look like he knows what he's doing for years. Like he knew what he was doing, and it was good to kind of like be under that, so he could kind of show you how to do things. Be like, no, dude, you're hitting the drum wrong. Like you got to hit it like this, or like go play this part. You need to learn how to play this or something. So that was nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, enough of the nerdy school talk.
Dude.
Let's talk about your first bands that you formed with people. And I want to hear all of the band names. This is my favorite part about this podcast, talking with Shawn.
Band names are the hardest things, man.
It's the worst part about being in a band is coming up with a name but all agreeing on it.
So
it's terrible.
Were you in a band in high school? Like a rock band?
I wasn't in a rock band.
You were in a jazz band, weren't you?
I did the jazz band in school. Wait, hold on. But I would jam with my friends, dude. It was like a funk band. You know what I mean? Is that jazz?
God.
Nah,
just like punch
He's
him.
just too cool for school.
Too cool.
I didn't.
He didn't play in a freaking garage band in high school. He played in a fucking jazz band.
Tune 4, baby. I was terrible at it too. But no, my first band that I ever started is actually, so the guitar player I play with in Versus Machine, his name's Stephen Tilley. Years ago, we used to work at a pool together, like a public pool, the Hampton Pool. And I started, working, or like I said, like I was working there. He's a couple years older than I am. And he said I was like a shy guy. I wouldn't talk that much, which I find so hard to believe because I'd never shut up. Mm-hmm. But we just started talking about wrestling of all things, dude. Like we were like, he's
Shout
like,
out. I'm a big wrestling fan.
I used to get down with the SmackDown a little bit. Yeah. And we, like I said, like we were just like talking a little bit, and he said, like I just got a guitar, like I've been playing, like I heard you play drums, like you want to get together and jam. And we started playing. It was just me and him. We just do covers, like you were saying.
That's what you do.
Yeah, just have fun and just be like, okay, let's try something out, or try to go from that, or try to go off of there. And I had just gotten another job at a different spot. It was a car wash, Bobby Ray Hall, and my friend Ben was working in the car wash, and he had. We didn't work the same shifts, but one night we were working the same shift, and we started talking. He was like, "Yeah, I play bass," and I was like, "Dude, I have a guitar player."
Man.
Boom, right there. Started right there, and that.
Guess your first song was "At the Car Wash."
At the car. No, I don't know what our first song was. I was probably like, I think we knew. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank. The Ocean. I think that was the first song we actually maybe played together. But he came in and we started playing. And, you start writing songs, like covers turn into songs, and then you start getting serious and you be like, "Yo, what's your band name?" And the first one that the first
Here
one,
we go. We can't even keep a straight
dude,
face.
it's so dumb. The one guy was like, "We should call our band Silent Narcosis," and we were both like, "What does that even mean?"
Wow.
Silent Narcosis.
That's bad.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I like it.
It's pretty.
I like it a lot. That seems like you're
Adam's like got
a
his pen
much
out. He's
different
like,
band
yeah.
than what you were playing.
And so it was like a mix between like Sunny Day and like top 40 rock at that time, which was like 2008, 2007.
And Silent Narcosis.
No, that wasn't the band.
Okay.
That was we were all like, no,
say,
dude, that's
no,
like, that's not
we're
cool.
not doing that. Yeah.
It ended up being Future Vagrant. That was the first.
Future Vagrant.
Yeah,
okay.
that was our first
I
band
like it.
name. Yeah, and we did that for a couple of years. But like playing in a band, like you say, like we were talking earlier about, like you realize your potential when you want to do things, and I wanted to learn more about how to play the drums. Like I love doing it, and I wanted to play music with more people. So I ended up going to Millersville, and I started another group there called Chaos. With another couple friends at school called Chaos Thompson, which was a funk band. It was kind of like funk rock, lettuce-y kind of stuff. And moving on, like from that, like that group was the stepping stone for me to kind of work with so many other people.
Yeah,
that group kind of dissolved and it grew into so many other things. But it all comes full circle eventually.
Yeah.
I started working with, in the same time in college, I started working with my friend Mike Stipe, not from REM. Not from REM.
Not Michael Stipe.
No. Oh, his name is
singer of REM.
His name is Michael Stipe, but he's not the singer of REM. I started working in a group with him called Morris Coda, and that was the precursor to our group Northern Gloom. That's how I met him.
Got it. Cool.
And we did that for years beyond college. Played a bunch of shows. Played in a bunch of different areas. Played a lot of really good shows too. House shows in colleges are also like awesome when you know a lot of people and you're packing a basement out or whatever. But
your stuff, because we've established you're a total nerd, you must have simultaneously been doing like the house show thing.
Oh wait, hold on. I'm not done yet, dude. I'm still in college. Go ahead. Though.
Hang on. We'll get back to that, but I just know that you're going to be like,
nerd.
Yeah, I played a house show here, and then I played this like freaking I don't know,
concert hall.
Exactly. It's like house show basement, and then I did this vibraphone piece for this concert, this concerto.
You're Clark Kent, and by night you're Superman.
Yeah, I have to be, dude.
This is the way I'm looking at this.
Wait a minute. Where does Superman play? In a basement or in a concert hall?
He plays in a basement.
Dude, he has to, dude. He's flexing downstairs, dude. He's taking that shirt off and just like...
Because I can imagine Brian having the glasses on during the day.
Oh,
I can't take them off.
And he takes his glasses off
and then he
night.
goes to the basement.
I can't even recognize
He's a real
him.
hero down there. That's where like he needs to be.
Okay, so in your Superman, the Superman version of yourself, go back to college. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead.
No, dude, it's all right. I'll take your apology, but no, I'm kidding.
Put it in my back pocket.
Yeah. At the same time, I was taking lessons with Aaron Walker, which I don't know if you ever had the chance to meet Aaron Walker. I think you know who.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
he was like the guru of Lancaster. He has had an impact on so many drummers in this area. Like it's going to be generations on generations.
Took from him.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone. Anyone
I know Paul Merck took a couple lessons with him.
Yeah, everyone has taken from Aaron Walker.
And or like even just gone to watch him play.
Yeah.
You know, because
check out Palmer's Shop Talk session from 2020.
Maybe he talks about Aaron Walker.
I don't know if he mentions. I don't know, but we have content with him. If you're on YouTube, we've got content. Paul Murr, he did a Shop Talk session. Jason Leach is episode 6 of this very podcast. We talked to him, and he talks about him a lot in that as well.
Yeah, I like Aaron. Taught me a lot about like how to be disciplined on the drums, but he also was like, keep an open mind to everything that like you're learning, right? Like you're in college, like take advantage of every opportunity there. You never know what's going to happen. And my first year there, I was like, I'm only going to play drums. Like I don't want to, like I had to play like mallets and stuff. I was like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. It's not fun. I want to be a rock drummer. Like I want to play Madison Square Garden. And first year ends, I go into the summer of like going into my sophomore year there, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try and do something. And within the first week of school, I started a percussion group with a couple of my friends, Rich Klimwitz, who's a local in Lancaster. Forrest Black, is he? I think he used to teach.
Forrest.
Yeah, you know Forrest, and Matt Brashanti, who is like one of the greatest drummers I've ever seen, like in my life.
Okay.
Just a total musician. And that turned into the Portal Percussion Trio. And that was like, I would say like, and when I graduated from college, that was like my most successful group by any stretch of the imagination. Like we were gigging like 3 or 4 nights a week, or not a week, but like 3 or 4 times a month.
Yeah.
Playing like a marimba, a bass drum, and some bongos, and people were loving it. Lancaster definitely really helped us a lot with that, but like it was wild.
That's
awesome. If you would have asked me in 4 years, my freshman year, like, yo, dude, you're gonna make your money playing, percussion music, I'd be like, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
But you learn a lot about like how to approach instruments, like there's so many different techniques that have to go into each instrument. When you play a marimba, when you play a vibraphone,
It's all percussion.
yeah, it totally is, right?
Yeah.
It definitely is. But yeah, so that was my biggest success as a musician, and I continued that well after college. I think that took like 3 or 4 years after college. That group kind of dissipated, and I didn't really play too much. After that, I kind of just went into, I don't say like a hole, but I just like practiced the entire time.
Yeah, you worked on yourself is what you ended up doing.
Yeah, dude. I just like a little reflection in the mirror and be like, I'm not good enough. I need to dive into it. But I kind of lost touch with Mike for a little bit, and then like 2017, I got married. I invited him to my wedding, and we started talking again. He's like, look, I've got this music that I really want to play, and he's like, I really think that you would really dig what we're playing. I was like, send me some demos.
Yeah.
And he sent it to me, and I was like, I was talking earlier about when you hear music and you just want to hear it again. You're like, this makes me feel good. Like I was like, I have to listen to this again and again and again. So we ended up starting Northern Gloom with just me and Michael Stipe, not of REM. And we worked on like a bunch of songs. And at that time, Corey Paternoster had started teaching at Drums, Etc. Just cutting his teeth, fresh out of Lebanon Valley College. I think that's where, or Lehigh, whatever one. I don't know. I think it was Lebanon.
Yeah, it was.
And he.
You should know this.
You can learn about that. You can learn
guys are
about that in
practically
his
married by
Shop
now.
Talk session, which is on our YouTube channel.
I did watch it. I'm one of the views. I was talking. He was talking to me like Corey's like the friendliest guy in the world, right? Like he's like. Yeah, he's like the kid that would go up and talk to strangers and be like, "Hi, like I wanna meet you, and like I wanna know everything about your life, whatever's going on."
Yep,
And
really let him have it here, Brian.
right,
really
yeah, dude, I will. Right, he's gonna be like, "Dude, come on, bro."
I'm not a nice guy.
Yeah, I'm not a nice guy, dude. I'm from New Jersey.
From the mean streets of Jersey.
But I told him I was gonna go record some demos or record with Mike Stipe, and he was like, please let me know like
of
what
REM?
Not of REM. Let me know what it sounds like. And it was a couple weeks later, and he comes in the room and he was like, "Yo, what is the? Have you heard anything about it?" I was like, "Yo, funny, I just got it. Do you want to listen to one of the songs?" And he like listens to a song, and he puts puts the headphones on, and he's like, "Do you need a bass player?" Like within like 3 seconds, like of just being like, "I want to play bass in this band." Cool. Yeah,
that's cool,
dude. It was really cool, and I was like, "Dude, you play bass?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude."
Yeah.
Like I didn't know him that well at the time. I knew he played in like a band. It was the Mellowell. I think the Mellowells were still playing, or the Sun
At
Not
that
Young.
time, it was Mellowells, I think.
And dude, he invited him to rehearsal, and he showed up. He knew all the notes, and Mike was like, "Yeah, dude, you're in the band," and the rest is history, man.
Yeah.
Like
I remember that.
Do you really?
I do.
I remember the whole thing.
I remember when you guys hooked up. Yeah,
For real?
I do. I remember like you guys like when you were first like, oh, he's gonna go play bass for your band. I remember all of that happening.
What a perspective, man. Yeah.
I remember him showing up with his bass and me being like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm bass player in Brian's band." I'm like, "Okay, so you're a drummer and you write your own songs and you sing and play guitar and now you're playing bass. I hate you."
Dude, he's like, dude, he just wants to play music. Like, and like owning my studio with him, dude, he just wants to play music all the time. Like he wants to like write a song. He wants to be like, yo, what do you think of this? Or I got a rehearsal going on here. Or I'm mixing something in the back over here. Like he's like, I'm envious how good he is at like writing music. He's got a really good mind for it.
And plus, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That you really let
So
him
it's
have
like-
it there. He's gonna watch this.
It's
and
like
be
I don't
furious.
even want to associate with him.
I know. I'm like, geez, maybe we should have had him on this podcast.
Wait, is this
The way you're
off?
talking
Is this
about
off
him.
the record?
Yeah, this whole thing.
No.
Why
no.
is this off the record?
Yeah. So I mean,
This is live to tape, baby.
So Corey and I started 627 Drum Studios eventually because we were playing in that band, and I was driving to Harrisburg. He was driving to Harrisburg, and I was like, I work in Lancaster. I live in Westchester at the time, and I was like, I can't keep driving to Harrisburg, and we need a place that like we can like teach out of, but also like have our band rehearsals because he also had his bands that he was playing in. So we founded our studio, and fast forward a couple years. Well, we opened our studio on January 1st, 2020.
Oh yeah,
Perfect.
that's when all the good stuff happens, man.
Oh my god! Yeah, but I was so scared, man. I really was. Like, I thought I was going to lose a lot of students, or you didn't know like if the economy was going to crash. Because I remember 2008.
Students are loyal.
dude. I gained students during the pandemic.
Yeah, I've noticed that students are very
Yeah.
loyal to their teachers because I've seen a lot of teachers would leave over the years and their students would go with them
Yeah.
for the most part. I'm like, so I learned a long time ago that like the teachers' word is gold,
And
they are very
And
loyal.
they're investing in the student, just like we talked about earlier. The students investing in the lessons, and the teachers investing right back into them. So it
and
makes total sense.
it's not
that
even
bond is
just
formed.
it's not even just music. It's just life stuff. Like I've had
Absolutely.
a couple lessons where students are just like really upset. I'm like, yo, let's put the sticks down and let's just like talk. Just
Yeah, it can be.
how do you process this information? Like you're going through a tough time. We don't need to.
For sure.
It's not about music right now. Use music to make yourself feel good.
Yep.
I had that relationship with my drum teacher
Yeah.
too, and actually, you know what? He left, and I went with him too. So
Right. Yeah.
I understand that
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah. So the thing though that was nice though is that like you guys have been to our studio, but like we had like a practice space. This was before the Upside. We had a practice space where we could go down every Thursday with our quarantine team. Right. That was a term. And we would practice every Thursday for like I don't know, like 3 or 4 hours. And it wouldn't just be like playing music. It would just be like, let's hang out, let's like socialize. And then I would teach virtually at the studio, and then I would go home.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like, it was a godsend for us. Like, I don't think half of our groups would exist right now without that space that we had.
keeping those interactions going.
Yeah.
And
And a space to be creative with other people. Because,
course.
Practicing is it kind of like a selfish act because it's really self-indulgence. Like, what do I need to work on? But when you work
Sure.
with other musicians, it's like,
That's what comes out.
What does everybody else need, or what does the song need? And I learned a lot about like how to write songs with those guys. Through that, through that studio, I reconnected with my friend Steve Tilley from my old band, not Silent Narcosis, but Future
Silent
Vagrant.
Narcosis.
And he was like, hey, I'm like writing some music right now.
there it is, man. That's how it starts.
You're right. And he was like, I want to do this. And it was just me and him again. And I was like, I can ask Mike to play bass. He plays bass in a band called Babel Map. And our first practice, we were like, oh, like we gel right now. Like we're in the zone.
Yep.
Like this is good. We
Yep.
should see where this goes. And it's been like 3 years since we started playing. I think
That's great.
How many bands are you playing with now?
So in that band, there's one other band that we did not mention. It's kind of a new group that I'm working on right now. It's called Midnight Disco. But I play in a band. I play in 3 bands with Mike Stipe, and 2 bands with Steve Tilley, and 1 band with Corey Paternoster. Yeah, it's a pretty sweet gig.
That's
man.
great.
Yeah.
Well, this we talked about how it's super important to have these relationships with players, relationships with students. I have met Eliza.
My wife, dude.
Your wife. And she's super supportive of at least from the outside looking in, she's super supportive of not only what you guys have done with the Upside, which we'll talk about in a minute with your venue, but also all these groups that you're in. And it's super important to have kind of that, just the support from your wife. I mean, to be able to do all this, it's a lot of time, like you said. It's a lot of commitment. Even when you're not at practice, you're thinking about the drums. You know what I mean? Like you said, you're practicing downstairs.
You're waking up
asleep.
at night. You're like, Eliza, I'm going downstairs.
Dude, it was actually...
I have to work something out.
Got to work on these flam taps.
On the way over here, I called her, and she was like talking to me. I was asking her about her day, and she's like, I can tell you're not listening to me. Because I was like practicing something in my head that a student was working on. I was like, oh, okay, this would be a really cool exercise to work on next week. No, but Eliza is like, she's my rock. She is literally the most supportive person in the world for, like, I would not be able to do this without her, for sure. Like, she holds me accountable when it comes to, like, you know, music. I have so much free time during the day where I can do whatever I want. And I remember years ago when we were dating, and I was like, well, what if I like go on tour and like we're living together and we got to do something? She's like, are you on tour? And I was like, no. And she's like, okay, well, we'll talk about that when you go on tour, but like, let's not talk about something that doesn't exist.
Right.
And, she was, other solid wisdom that she provided for me. She's like, I don't give a shit what you do. You got to pay 50% of the bills. I was like, okay, right? Like, yo, I can make a career of this if I can pay 50% of the bills. Like, I'm good to go. Like, I'm not gonna be able to go on vacation, but like, I can totally do it. We go on a lot of vacations, but
yeah, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
I see your Instagram.
Yeah, dude.
I see you all over the world.
Well, but I think she's definitely a major proponent of like, we all have a finite amount of time on this planet, and you want to do things in your life that will make you happy. And like, playing music makes me happy. Teaching makes me happy. Having conversations like this makes me happy. And she wants that. She wants me to do that. I just got to pay 50% of the bills.
There you go.
It all comes down to the miles and the dollars.
Yeah. She listens to me play the drums at the house. It'll be like, we're home only a couple days together at the same time, and she'll let me play, and I'll be like, do you want to listen to me play the drums? She's like, no, not really, but I know you're going to do it. So I'm like, all right, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's give and take.
Well, I know that you're probably not, playing, I don't know what you're playing, really, but you're probably not playing like pop songs, but like, does she ever know what you're playing? It's like, I know what you're playing.
No,
playing this
I don't think so. No, that's not true. I don't know. I can't remember what the instant was, but one time I came up, I think I was playing brushes, and she was just like, whatever that was beautiful. I love that. She's like, keep doing that. It's probably because it was so quiet. But she's like, yeah, I like the sound of the brushes on the drums or whatever.
That's cool.
No, because I'm when I practice, like I'm shedding. And then like I'm playing full volume, like because I want to practice like I'm gonna play.
Okay, so what I said earlier about you being respectful and articulate and just practicing and not being an asshole,
no, that's not me,
totally freaking wrong.
Nah, dude,
okay, so I pegged you wrong.
Yeah,
so you are just blasted.
Totally wrong, dude.
Okay,
straight to the face, dude.
I'm telling you,
open the window up, dude.
It's all about if he's wearing the glasses or not. He takes those glasses off. It's all out of here.
That's the brushes.
We're gonna do a drum key episode, another drum key episode. I'm gonna ask you the exact same questions, except you're not gonna be wearing your glasses, and it's gonna be wild.
I'm just gonna be learning how to play the drums. Yeah, dude. It's just like all bleeps all day.
That's
dude.
the entire thing. Yeah. All right, we've talked enough about your wife and how great she is, and how good your life is, and all your fancy vacations.
I appreciate you noticing all those things too.
Yeah, of course. I see it all. I'm not envious
from your perch.
That's why I'm sitting over here, you see. I had to separate myself from the guest. No, let's talk about, I think this is a great place to kind of wrap up your story, because it's the one thing that is like hot happening right now. We're involved in it in ways that we can. Let's talk about the Upside, your DIY venue. You and Corey Paternoster that we talked about have opened up this venue in Lancaster. You're having shows. Not only are you hosting local bands, you're reaching out to folks when they're in town to come by. We just recorded a jazz show. Yeah. A jazz show in Lancaster.
Shout out to Eric Binder.
Yep. Yep. The
and Gome Barak,
yes,
definitely,
huge.
They crushed it.
And you roped us in and said, hey, you want to be a part of this? And I'm like, absolutely. What do you need? We decided we wanted to film it to have that. So that's on our channel. If you guys want to check it out, our YouTube channel. It's super great and just amazing jazz players. Happen to be kind of in town, and you guys reached out. But now you guys have that facility to host events and to host shows and everything. Tell me kind of the genesis of that venue and what you guys are looking to do with it in the future.
Yeah, so I think it really does start with the drum studio, 627 drum studios that Corey and I have, where we teach our lessons out of when we had the rehearsal space. So we were outgrowing the space. We just had gear and things that we wanted to do. We're if we had a bigger room, this would be awesome. Mm-hmm. And by circumstance, the room across the hall from us became available, and we were like, hell yeah, we want this. It's 3 times the size of our studio. I mean, you guys have been in it, and if you've never been there, come out to the Upside DM for address. We, through talking with our landlord, we found out there was another guy who was interested in going in with it. His name is Nate Williams. Shout out Nate.
Dude.
Shout
out Nate.
Really nice guy and a fantastic guitar player too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went to the Musicians Institute out in LA, dude, and you're a player if you go there, He's got a great feel when he plays. But so we all 3 of us kind of came together and we're like, well, what do we want this space to be? And for, in the genesis of it, we really needed a space to practice. We needed a space to record. And then we're like, well, it'd be awesome if we could have a space where we could do some shows, right? So we ended up building the stage and getting some speakers and talking about that. But really in the beginning, we started with the bands that we had played with. Oh, and another thing that we really wanted to kind of a philosophy is that we wanted it to be a community center, because after the pandemic, everything shut down around here. There was nowhere to play local music, maybe outside of Tellus and Fan and Power. Mm-hmm. The Chameleon Club had closed. I don't know any house venues that were doing shows or any other local spots that were doing shows.
It was pretty sparse. It was sparse for a long time.
Right. Yeah. And we were like, we need a place for our friends who we go into their city and play in their city and they hook us up with a show. We want to be able to give them something here as well, right? And I mean, you open the door and say you got a venue, people just hit you up all the time. So it's kind of a combination of a recording studio, community space, venue, practice space. It's, for the bands that all of me and Corey are a part of, and a couple other people who are a part of the space too. And it's awesome, because it's kind of like a small venue. In a way, it's and it's when you get to practice in a bigger room, you get to hear how you sound in a bigger room, which is always a tough transition for drummers or musicians to make, right? You need to know how that sound's going to bounce off that wall and come back to you, or how hard you need to hit your drums to fill up the room. The Upside has just been, dude, it's a grind. It's a lot of work, but I love every second of it, and it's just a space where we can continue to make it our vision of what we think, or what people would really enjoy and benefit from. And we've got some plans for the future, moving forward, and how we can make it just build it off the platform we've already kind of built.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do you want to share anything? Do you want to drop any future Upside plans?
Oh yeah,
live on the podcast.
Yeah, we've got. I don't know when you're dropping this, but we've got a couple of shows.
It's gonna be. I'm dropping this in a couple days.
Yeah, maybe you can correct me on some of the names, but we've got next Friday, December 8th. We've got a show, a touring band, A Deer, a Horse, playing, and then the 2 local acts we have. We're doing. Night Train to Terror, and then $2 Horse. I don't know if you guys have heard them. They're out of Harrisburg, PA. Okay. They are awesome. They just got a really unique sound. My brain immediately goes to the Mars Volta, but it's Mars Volta, Queens of the Stone Age-esque. You know what I mean? Yeah, cool. Totally. Definitely. Yeah, they shred, dude. They really do shred. And
that's
then
December 8th?
December 8th, Friday, December 8th.
Wow.
And then
I gotta come check this out. Because actually, and I don't want to pretend like I know this, but
Yeah.
I've heard the name $2 Horse. Like
Yeah.
I know those guys.
They've been playing a lot.
heard
They
them,
think I got like a CPMA last year for like album release or best album
I
of
would
the year.
definitely like to check this out.
It'll be a good show. $10 at the door, I believe that one is, and then on the 16th.
I'll pay 15.
All right. Man spoken right here. You heard it right here. But
you ain't getting
the money,
$15
the money goes to the bands. That was another thing I wanted. Just like quick side tangent, but
Yes,
like we
do it.
wanted to have a spot that like bands could come in and they knew they were gonna get like they know they're gonna get paid. Sometimes when you have a smaller audience, you don't make as much money, but like we need to take as much money as like a venue owner to be like, okay, like we're okay right here, but pay the bands, pay the freaking bands, because if they don't get paid, they don't get to do this. And we don't take any of their merch. We want them to get 100% of their merch sales, so that way they can come in and walk out with maybe a couple $100 in a show.
Right.
In a developing music scene right now. And okay, so December 16th we've got it's Chumpire Fest. Have you heard of the band Chumpire? There's a lot of bands on this. Okay, so I butchered this name the other day with Corey, and he's never going to let me forget it. But Ed Hockley is playing. There is another.
How did you butcher it?
I said, dude, I was like Edo Hoakley. Dude, it was so bad, dude. And like, you should just look at the poster. The font's like all wavy, and I'm just like, well, I don't got my glasses on. I'm Clark Kent right now. Or no, I'm Superman, sorry. And yeah, dude, I said it all dumb. Dude, he looks at me, he's just like, dude, how did you mess that up? Ed Hockley's playing Ghost of Kung Fu Kang. I think that's the name of the band. And then there's one other band, I can't remember off of it, but like that's going to be, that show's going to be.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's 10 in advance, 15 at the door. We actually have a link. Maybe I can send you the link and you can post it on your Instagram.
Yeah, I'll clip this up, put it out before the show.
Yeah, I think that show has the potential of really like getting close to selling out or selling out.
That's sweet, man.
Capacity. So get your tickets.
What's the capacity of the room roughly?
It depends on the event.
Just for people having an idea of like, hey, how many
Depends
people
on
are
the fire
crammed in this
marshal.
show?
We can definitely pack the room out. I would say probably like 60.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's a
60
really
to
nice.
80.
I've been there. It's sweet. It's an
Yeah.
awesome room. It sounds good in there. You don't feel like you're getting like blasted out by noise either.
Totally.
You guys have it dialed in, and it's awesome. This is what happens when musicians start a venue or run a venue.
Yeah.
It's a very big difference. It's like, when you show up to a venue, it's very quick for you to be able to determine, okay, who are my points of contact?
Totally.
What's their connection with what I do, and how many steps away is it? And usually, the more steps away, the bigger of a I don't know. The closer it is to you, the more homey it feels, and the better you feel treated.
Totally.
So if it's a musician and you're a musician, bam, that's the best case scenario.
Totally.
If they're just like, they work at the venue, but they're not a musician, you're like, okay, that's like one step away, but they're around it a lot. You know what I mean? But if it's just like, okay, I'm the manager of the bar, and my job is to sell chicken wings, and you're also here.
Yeah,
that's
just like,
that's where it gets a little
do you
rough.
know what an input is?
Exactly. But this is the way that it should be. It's
Yeah.
amazing to see what you guys are doing, and see it growing is awesome. And like any part that we can play in it is great.
Yeah, and
we're fully back and supporting you guys.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate the support. You guys are definitely like major proponents and advocates for our space, and I know people have come to our space because you've directed them to us, and that's like awesome. And then like also having gear that we need, stocking drum heads, except for super kick twos.
Listen,
production.
we're getting them as fast as we can get them.
But hopefully you don't need to buy a lot of bass drum heads. But no, for real, like you guys are a great part of the community too, and I know that will continue to. Your involvement in the space will continue to grow as we continue to grow too, because it's literally limitless. There's so many cool things we can do.
It is, as Shawn always likes to say. Does anybody realize that we're just making this stuff up?
That's all we're doing. We're making things up as we go along.
That's right,
The
man.
podcast.
That's all it is.
Something kind of
drum
sticks.
show.
Like this is good.
The Upside, man.
The
It's
Upside.
just a great idea, and
You
it's
just
backed by
decided
musicians.
you just made it up.
And that name came by like happenstance, man. Like we had, you want to talk about like another silly name we were talking about for it?
Yes.
We were like
Bring
talking.
it on.
we
The
were
Upside
talking-
was almost
called scrimshaws.
Scrimshaws?
Yeah, dude. Because there's a piece of scrimshaw in our studio, and I don't know if anybody doesn't know what scrimshaw is, because I didn't. But Nate, our business partner, was just like, yeah, dude, scrimshaw. Everybody knows what this is. It's like when you etch like a carving in, I guess like traditionally like whalebone or something like that, or like walrus tusk or something. And we're like, why do you know that? Like,
I just nodded, being like, dude, I had no idea what you were
That's
talking
a fact you didn't need to know. Like, could you imagine being like, yeah, man, I'm playing on scrimshaws tonight.
I like the upside.
Yeah, I like the upside too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Add? I mean, we could talk all night.
I can talk all day about anything, man. This is the first.
Well, we'll have you back.
This is the first set right here, man.
This is set one. We're gonna take a quick intermission. No, but awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me to be on here, and thank you for running a great drum shop. Like, you guys are such an asset to Lancaster and the surrounding community. Like, you know, you guys are in here every day, and things are tough, but like, people benefit from you being here, and like, I hope that you continue to keep doing what you're doing.
Oh yeah. They can't stop us.
Next round, we're going to have Corey, and then we're going to have Corey and you, and it's going to be all four of us. Guarantee
God,
it.
dude.
This will happen.
Straight chaos.
We'll get another
It'll
mic.
be good.
But we're not going to get another chair. So there's going to be 3 of you jammed on that couch.
No.
Dude, this is...
No, we'll make room. We'll make
think
room.
I think we could sit. I think we could do this, dude.
I'd like to be cozy.
It's going to
I'd like
be...
to be cozy between you guys.
Oh, boy.
No, we'll put our arms around Corey like this.
Yeah.
the
No
whole
one
time,
wants
dude.
this.
Just
No
like
one
tap
wants
him on
this.
the leg uncomfortably.
No one wants this. This is why I have guardrails here, you see?
But
This
that's
is my
next.
space. This is my bubble.
Oh, they're not training wheels?
Training wheels. This is a trainer's couch. No, thank you for being here. Shawn, thank you for being here. I never thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. This is a lot of fun.
welcome.
Man. This is a lot of fun.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for tuning in, checking out Drum Key. As always, support your local drum shops. If you don't have a local drum shop, we will adopt you. We've done it before. We'll do it again. Again, thank you so much for supporting the shop, supporting the show. Go and support the Upside. We'll see you next time.
Merry Christmas.